Jeff Gordon's crew trying to get the four-time champion his 7th win at Pocono today. They were tremendous last week. 3rd at Dover, up to 11th in the standings. And now for other drivers that are on the move, we welcome in Kyle Petty. Who you got your mind on, Kyle?
Tony Stewart. Everybody wants to talk about Tony Stewart. He comes out, he wins a race last week at Dover, and I think when you look at that, everybody says, oh my gosh, he's got to be back. Tony's got to be back. The week before he runs 7th. Guess what? Tony's not back. That team's not back. They're still struggling. One race, one win does not mean you're back. This is a track that in the last 5 races, his best finish had been a 20th place finish. And he comes back, he's a 13th, 14th place car, and he ends up falling into it and winning the race. Now, he put himself in the right position, and they did a great job. But again, to win races consistently, you've got to run up front consistently like Jimmy Johnson does and those other guys do. So as far as I'm concerned, Tony Stewart, he may have cracked the door, but they're not back yet.
Let's go down to Larry McReynolds and find out who he thinks is on the move. Larry?
Well, Adam, I think the big story in 2013, after missing races, can Denny Hamlin and his 11 team truly make the chase? Before Dover, they were going the right way. 2 top 5s, only 47 points out of the top 20. Dover, 34th place finish after blowing that tire. The wrong direction, 74 points out. No more finishes outside the top 15 or he will not make this chase. I think Kyle Petty put it best. 2 races for Denny Hamlin. Racing guys to get inside the top 20, but racing everybody to get at least 2 wins here in 2013 to make this chase.
You guys talk about Denny Hamlin and Tony Stewart. Hamlin starting 17th, right behind him, Smoke in the 19th position. The drivers are strapped in, and now we send it trackside to get the command of fire engines.
I'll meet you at that trailer. We're good, right, Larry?
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, New England Divisional Merchandising Director for Walmart, Brian Hendricks.
Race fans, on behalf of Walmart, we welcome you to your Party in the Poconos 400. You voted, we listened. This is your race. You own it. Fans, help me get this party started. Drivers, start your engines!
Yeah, baby. So the engines have fired. What a great sound it is, and we are so glad to have you with us once again. The gang is back together. It's NASCAR on TNT. The Summer Series begins today with Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach. I'm Adam Alexander, and here we go at Pocono, one of the most difficult tracks on the circuit to get a hold of. We got this new Gen 6 car that's never seen a venue like this. And oh, by the way, cloudy for practice yesterday, sunshine today. Do we have any idea what's going to happen this afternoon, Wally?
Not too much. We're just guessing here. But, I mean, you know, it's 68 degrees right now. That's about what the temperature was yesterday on the practice. The difference is, like you said, the sun is shining. The track temperature will go up, which will mean that these guys are going to have to chase their setups around quite a bit. You're going to see some guys going in different directions at the start. But this racetrack, as the temperatures heat up, they're going to have to make some major adjustments to stay up with it or try to stay ahead of it.
You stole a line during practice yesterday from Larry McReynolds. Comers and goers. We're going to see a lot of that today because Gordon starts 11th. Hamlin is 17th. Tony Stewart 19th. They've got to work their way through the field, Kyle.
Yeah, but it's really hard to figure that out because they start the race on points. Usually when you have a guy like Jimmy Johnson last week, qualifies terrible at Dover because his car gets free. You know he's going to drive to the front because the car's capable of it. But with this, the way qualifying was, being rained out, you don't know who's good and who's bad. You have to go off the timesheet. And when you go back to the timesheet, those guys that are starting up in points, they're still the fast guys.
So many questions as we get set to begin the second half of NASCAR's regular season. Race 14 today, and Walmart gave fans the chance to vote on race details on display here today at Pocono via the My Local Walmart Facebook app. Fans were able to submit race name ideas, design menu items served at the track, even vote on the design of today's pace car. Looking good. We've got the green flag for the Party in the Poconos 400 presented by Walmart. It's next on TNT.
It's called the Tricky Triangle. That's not a term of endearment. This enigmatic track has puzzled drivers for years, but through the frustrations and triumphs, it's been a source of legend.
Too close to call. Driving, Bobby Lamardi wins. Bill Elliott, Jeff Gordon.
With Sprint Cup's longest twist straightaway and flat sweeping turns. It takes speedway attitude and road course skill to master this paradox in the Pines.
Run for the hills, pick up your feet and let's go. We did our job, pick up speed, now let's go.
Today, these 43 drivers will test their nerves and wit trying to figure this place out. This is Pocono. This is the Summer Series on TNT.
On a gorgeous afternoon in Long Pond, Pennsylvania, the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series ready to roll. It is the party in the Poconos 400 presented by Walmart. One of the great challenges on the NASCAR schedule, always coming here to this giant triangle. And the weather could make it even more difficult today because these not the conditions teams saw when they were practicing 24 hours ago. 71 degrees, track temperature over 100. You can see a slight breeze, but the comparison between track temperature today and yesterday is drastic.
Right, 40 degrees. And that's what I was talking about. That's going to be the biggest difference of these guys as far as getting the grip in the racetrack. As soon as the green flag drops, they're going to find out there's a lot less in it than there was yesterday.
Qualifying rained out on Friday. That means we set the grid based on owners' points. On the front row, championship leader Jimmy Johnson and Carl Edwards. They've each won here twice. Row 2, Clint Boyer, who had a pair of top 10s at this racetrack 1 year ago, alongside Matt Kenseth, who's looking for his first win here. Dale Earnhardt Jr., solid in this event last season, and Kevin Harvick, who was great in practice yesterday. Row 4, Casey Kane won from the pole in 08, and Kyle Busch, who's been a runner-up here on 2 different occasions. The defending champ, Brad Keselowski, won here in 2011 alongside Paul Menard, who's top 10 in the championship entering round 14. Eric Almirola's been great this season, and he's sitting alongside Jeff Gordon, who's won here 6 times. That's the best of anybody. As you look at the rest of the lineup, we're going to hear from Denny Hamlin. Wally?
Hey, Denny Hamlin, this is Wally Donald back up in the booth. Got a copy?
10-4.
All right, man, there's a lot of debate if you can make the chase. I'm one of those guys that thinks you can because certainly you need to put some wins in the column starting probably this weekend. But this is a place you have a lot of wins in that column. You got a piece to do it today?
We hope so. We didn't show the all-out speed that we've had here in the past here in practice, but you never know with the circumstances. These races are long and anything can happen. I've got the best crew on pit lane, so I typically love it when TNT comes on air because that's typically when we hit our stride. So glad to see y'all.
All right, buddy. Well, you know how to get it done here. Good luck today.
10-4, thank you.
Hey, thanks for the shout-out, Denny, and we hope you set the DVR so you can enjoy the pictures later tonight, and perhaps your day will end in victory lane. One of the keys at Pocono, being right on strategy, not just adjusting throughout the race. Fuel mileage, no tires, 2 tires, 4 tires, so much to discuss along the pit lane. Let's hear from the guys that will cover the action there and send it to Marty Snyder.
Well, Adam, Wally mentioned it, the fastest car yesterday in practice after 1 lap, 5 laps, 10 laps, 15 laps. All answers are Jimmy Johnson. And you go through the garage area this morning, and everybody said the 48 car is the car to beat today. I asked Chad Canals moments ago, hey, when you have a car this good, what worries you? He said, come on, man, you know me well enough. I'm worried about everything. But the one thing he did mention specifically, the weather. As you guys mentioned in the booth, a little bit of a change today with the weather. Warmer, slicker racetrack. He's wondering how that will affect the 48 car. Ralph?
Knocking out the last little bit of warm-up for pit stops here, Marty, as we get ready to go with Matt Kenseth. Now, they have won 3 races with Matt Kenseth this year, but he has not won a race here at Pocono. Now, they have had those engine issues, but they tell me they've detuned him a little bit. They've knocked off the aggressive nature a little bit of that motor. They're not worried about that affecting a win as much as they're concerned. Will it affect a loss, Matt?
And Ralph, up and down pit road, tire changers like Kyle Turner working on their hand-eye coordination, shaking off that race day rust, knowing it's a total team effort, especially right here in Martin Truex Jr.'s 56 team. Took a big hit in the points last week, dropping from 9th to 14th in the championship standings. And the weather we've well documented. A game changer today, an educated guess for guys like Chad Johnson, his crew chief, knowing they have to have a big maximum bonus points day to get this team back into a chase spot. His best finish here at Pocono, 3rd return. 2 separate occasions. One of those was last July. Larry Mack?
Well, Matt, Adam Alexander mentioned it. We're going to go for 160 laps and 400 miles. And if that caution comes out late in the race, some tough decisions to be made on pit road. 2 tires, 4 tires, or whatever they can do to keep that ever-important track position. Now, even though it was rain-shortened, Jeff Gordon got his first win of 2012 right here in August, and a lot had to do with the decision his crew chief made. Chris Neville is with that crew chief.
That's right, Larry. It was Alan Gustafson last year that gave Jeff Gordon that track position to take the lead in August. And we might not be looking at rain today, but we've got warmer temperatures out here late in this race. How do you make that decision, 2 tires or 4 tires?
Well, it's a tough call. You know, a lot of the, if the call is successful or not, a lot of that depends on your competition, what they do. But you just gotta base it on history and what your car wants and what you've done all day long, and try to put yourself in the best position to get the best finish possible. If that's a win, you know, that's obviously great. If not, you just want to put yourself in the best position to succeed as possible. And it's, you know, it can come down to having the right lane. You know, some guys are going to need the bottom, some guys are going to need the top. So it's a very finicky situation, but I think you just have to put yourself in the best position you can, and having a good car always helps.
Well, Jeff Gordon's got 6 wins here at Pocono. He's looking for his first in 2013.
Thanks, Chris. And my advice to our pit reporters, get an extra pen, because you're going to be writing down a lot of information today. So much to cover at Pocono. Buckle your seatbelt and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge. Call **FAST from your mobile phone to predict who will have the fastest times in today's race. Brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. So the car's going over the tunnel turn. We'll come down to turn 3 and make the left-hand turn to the front straightaway, and we will get set to go racing this afternoon at Pocono. 400 miles, 160 laps. Last year, the first season, the races here at Pocono were 400 miles. They used to always be 500. Pit road speed, 55 miles per hour. Put a star beside that one, because 1 year ago we had 22 pit road speeding penalties. And you also want to take a look at the fuel situation, 26 to 30 laps, because fuel mileage always big when we come to Pocono. Qualifying rained out on Friday afternoon. Jimmy Johnson, the championship leader, is on the pole. The fans on their feet in anticipation of the start of today's race. Green flag is in the air. We are off and rolling at Pocono. Inside, picking up the spot. Carl Edwards on point off of 1.
Jimmy Johnson lost, obviously, some ground there on the start, trying to make up a little bit, a couple positions he picked up there.
And let's not forget, it was the final restart at Dover last week that took the race away when he was black flagged. And here, not getting off to the start he would have liked. Boyer went around to the inside, and Carl Edwards takes the race lead. That's Matt Kenseth right behind him.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot he could do going into turn 1, because he was in the middle. He had guys on both sides of him there, so basically just backed out of it. We're hearing that Casey Kane's got trouble. He's way off the pace.
Casey Kane was great yesterday in practice.
Todd. Chris, you stay back. No gas here.
You know, and it's interesting. Menard had the same problem. As soon as he hit the track, like on the first or second lap of practice, Matt, Menard had a problem with his drive line. What are they saying?
Kenny Francis has called Casey Kane to pit road, almost into his box. Casey says there's something amiss in the drivetrain. It is vibrating violently on the 5 machine.
Casey Kane came into this race 7th in the standings, 31 in front of 11th place Jeff Gordon. So we'll continue to monitor his circumstance. He won the race at Bristol earlier this year.
We saw these guys at the start of the race, 2 and 3 wide, and we've heard it all year long with this Gen 6 car. You've got to get everything you can on a restart. It's tough once the race starts, or once you run 3 or 4 laps, to get in to pick up a position. So these guys will do everything we can. We saw Kyle Busch over the tunnel. We saw these guys going in turn 1. They've got to get position quick.
Jimmy Johnson drifted back at the start after sitting on the pole, but here he is to the outside of Matt Kenseth. trying to take over the runner-up spot. They're heading to the tunnel turn.
Yeah, Jimmy looked awfully strong in practice yesterday. Obviously, his car was good and it stayed good for a long time. That's the key here at Pocono, is to really, you're going to get these long runs. You're going to drop off a second or so from when you start the race to right before you make pit stops. So trying to find that comfort zone, I think those guys did yesterday. Real happy with the car.
Casey goes back on track. We see him.
Bring it back behind the wall.
But at radio communication, sounds like they're going to bring him back in. It must still be vibrating and bring him behind the wall. But we saw Matt Kenseth just pull over and let the 48 come. As a driver, you're looking in your mirror and you see that guy and you see him and he's coming. He's coming. You know if he catches you in a certain place on this racetrack, you're both going to lose ground. So the easiest thing is to get out of the way, let him go by, fall back in line, and run your line.
Yeah.
And that's what Matt did.
You go side by side through the tunnel turn,
yeah,
and you're going to lose a second or two, and everybody's going to catch up with you. So you're right.
Kurt Busch, great in practice yesterday, and he's on the move early today.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to watch Kurt, because we heard Kurt yesterday in practice. They were great in practice. They were fast. But when practice was over with, they were having some brake temperature issues, and he said, we're going to have to pull some tape off. We heard Larry and Wally both speak to the brake cooling issues and the grill on the Ford. I know this is not a Ford, it's a Chevy, but at the same time, when you start pulling that off, it changes the balance of that car.
And Kurt started 20th today, already up to 13th. He's the best among our big movers early. And Stenhouse up to 11th, gaining 5 spots. Casey Kane has taken his machine to the Sprint Cup Series garage. They will further evaluate that race car, and we will keep you posted on the progress they make.
And you know, you get back to where we talked a lot about the points, and the guys right there out.
Yeah.
Casey Kane just put himself in a position where he's sitting 10th right now in points.
Yeah.
Or worse, depending on where we find out.
Depends
where
on
we
how
wind up.
Yeah, how this thing flushes out.
Well, and the other thing there, he has a win. So that would, if he drifts outside the top 10, that would be 2 drivers with a win, 11 to 20, and the wild card spots are taken up by he and Tony Stewart.
And again, I made the comment in pre-race that I thought you had to have a win to be in the top 10. I'm not saying historically that's the way it's been, but I think when you look outside the top 10 at Tony Stewart, at Greg Biffle, at Kurt Busch, at Jeff Gordon, guys like that, they're going to get a win. And I think when you get to that you're going to have those wins to be in the top 10.
Read on Twitter last night, Steve Letarte said, Kenseth wide. Yep.
Takes off the racetrack there, and that's just, he didn't drive it up there, believe me. That car just took off.
It'll be interesting to see what he says about that car, what it said, what it's doing. We talked to Jeff the other day, and Jeff said when that splitter gets on the ground, there's no traction in the front tires. And, you know, as we documented here, the racetrack's different than it was yesterday. Are these guys driving a little harder? Is something different? Or is that thing hitting the ground? Will they have to make that adjustment?
We saw Matt Kenseth go wide. And now let's take a look at Greg Biffle.
So Kurt Busch right up underneath him. And
yeah, he just wiggles a little bit. This is across the tunnel turn right here. And across the tunnel turn, the car, it's a free area.
That's pretty typical.
Yeah, that's pretty typical of a driver. You just kind of pitch the car across the tunnel. You'll see Tony do it. You'll see Jimmy do it. And a lot of times the car, it looks like it's really sideways and loose when in essence you've got so much wheel in it that when the front finally grabs, it just snaps loose.
And that's the right place to be loose.
Yes.
You're loose from the middle off, which you can drive it a lot easier that way. If it's loose when you turn that steering wheel down there, boy, that's tough.
Kurt Busch going 2 for 1 as he gets around Martin and Stenhouse. What's the latest on Greg Biffle, Chris?
Well, listening to both Greg Biffle and Jeff Gordon saying right now this track is very slick. We saw a temperature of 110 degrees right before the green flag. Yesterday, that track temperature was down in the low 70s. So a very different racetrack today, and most of these drivers saying very slick.
Greg Biffle's teammate Carl Edwards won in his first ever start at Pocono. He grabbed the lead on lap 1, and he's been out front ever since. 7 of 160 complete this afternoon. Carl Edwards grabbed the lead at lap 1 and was out front for the first 9 laps. Jimmy Johnson had enough. He took over the top spot at lap 10, and it happened while we were away. Here's the replay.
And like Kyle mentioned earlier, listen, this early in the race, when you see somebody filling up your mirrors that much and that fast, it's stupid to fight him. Just, you know, he just backed off, let him go. He didn't lose a whole lot of time on the next position, which would be Earnhardt Jr. So You still got a very good car, but I'm telling you, Jimmy Johnson, those guys have done their homework.
He's been out front for less than 2 laps. His advantage over Edwards already over a second. Time now for KFC, fresh off the wire. Let's go to the garage and Matt Yoakum.
Adam Casey Kane sits patiently in the race car. One crew member is inside the car. He is starting to work on the transmission from inside the cockpit. Meanwhile, half a dozen crew members underneath the car. They're not exactly sure what is amiss in the driveline. Casey said that the shifter was shaking violently, but they're going to change the transmission, also going to change the drive shaft. Right now, you go back to that Bristol win back in the spring. Really important looking at the points as they run now. He's dropped all the way to 10th.
And that's a tough break, and that's a hard call for a driver. When the thing is shaking that much, and you don't know where to start. So from a crew's perspective, you do have to call up, but you have to change the drive shaft, you have to change the transmission. You may even have to change the gear to take everything out of it.
But it's really, like, I mean, how strange is that? They came off the racetrack yesterday, practiced, said, hey, the car's good, let's go racing tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then in the first lap, you know, they have a problem. Like I said, it's just the way the cars fall sometimes. Menard got away with it.
In the old times, in the old days, and I'll speak to that, when you would pre-check your stuff, a lot of times you'd drop the drive shaft out, and you may turn it a quarter turn and get it back in a little bit wrong, or get it back in at a different place, and there would be a vibration, and the race would start, and you'd say, well, it wasn't there yesterday. Well, we changed it on our checklist, and we changed something like that. You rarely see that happen today. These guys know so much more about these cars than we knew in those days about the maintenance and how to do things, that you rarely see something. So probably chances are there's something in that transmission, as you mentioned earlier, that we saw with Menard yesterday, or something in the gear.
Yeah.
You mentioned Paul Menard, and Wally talked about this earlier. First lap of practice yesterday, he goes out all kinds of smoke. We thought perhaps an engine. That not the case. They had to change the transmission. He started 9th, and he didn't lose his starting position today. At any oval track on the circuit, you have to drop to the rear when you change a transmission, except for here at Pocono because of all the shifting. That same rule in place for the 2 road course events at Watkins Glen and Sonoma, where we will be in a couple of weeks' time. And Menard hanging on right outside the top 10, and closing in behind him, Tony Stewart. Big question on if Tony is back or not, and he's rallying today. Let's send it down to Larry.
Yeah, I just want to follow up on this whole transmission rule. The reason that NASCAR has that rule, that if you change a transmission after qualifying, you have to go to the rear of the field, it's almost a lot like the engine rule. They're just trying to discourage teams from building light transmissions to qualify with, less rotating weight. So they say if you have to change it before qualifying at anywhere where we don't shift, you're okay. But after qualifying, then you're going to have to go to the rear of the field. But at a track like here, Sonoma and Watkins Glen, where you're shifting, they almost encourage teams and drivers to change the transmission on race morning to have a nice fresh one in there.
See Clint Boyer on track, and right behind him, Eric Almirola.
Yeah,
Boyer is drifted after starting 3rd, back in 9th. And how about Almirola to the inside for another position inside the top 10? And here's a driver that has been outstanding. Every time you think they're going to go in the wrong direction, they bounce right back.
He's been very impressive this year. He's been very solid. They've been consistent. And, well, I mean, you know, running like this is why they're up in the points right now.
Yeah, and we talked about it yesterday during practice. Eric himself, I think Eric has improved dramatically from last year to this year. I think Todd Perrick's a big part of that. But there were a lot of races early in the year where the Richard Petty Motorsports Fords were the best Fords on the racetrack.
So we're visiting with those guys in the shop a few weeks ago. See Sammy Johns, the competition director. We talk about Todd Perrick, Drew Blitzensdorfer. Dale Inman also hanging out with those guys. He's a Hall of Famer, one of the great crew chiefs of all time. Still understands what it takes to make a car go around the track fast. Jimmy Johnson, the fastest of them all right now. He leads with 16 laps complete at Pocono. Back live on TNT at Pocono, Jimmy Johnson got the top spot of lap 10. He has opened up a 3-second advantage over second place, Carl Edwards. Jimmy Johnson has 2 wins here. So does Tony Stewart. Smoke started 19th. He's already worked his way inside the top 10. And the Mobile One in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with Tony Stewart. Go to NASCAR.com and check out the Mobile One in-car camera on Race Buddy.
I believe he's in what, turn 3 out there? watching some of these guys and what some of them are shifting quite a bit. Some of them shifting in different spots. Like Tony shifts before he gets to the corner. Some guys will wait till they get almost through the corner before they shift. Watch the top speed down there on the bottom. We were seeing just over 200 yesterday. Where we're at today. 205, that's whistling.
That's whistling going in turn one here. You see that thing drop down to about 71, 7,200 through the corner. Now he's in third gear, and he runs this thing up to 92, and it drops about 1,000 RPMs. He picks it up again in third gear. Yeah, when I don't know how they, when we used to race, you had to watch the tack to tell when to shift, and they would your engine builder would always say, don't let it go over 8,000, and you'd always, or 9,000, you'd push it to 91 or 92 and lie your butt off to him and tell him, how do they shift now, Larry? How do they shift now?
I think what I'm doing, I've been watching this little shift light right here, and they have that set at a certain RPM, and if it comes on, that means definitely don't carry that thing no further in third gear. Grab high gear. Been a long time since I've seen a shift light in a Sprint Cup Series car, but it looks like he's used it for this very reason.
I was going to say, shift light doesn't make it any different than when there was a needle in there.
Yeah,
we still see it. That doesn't mean we're gonna pay you.
Yeah, it doesn't change what the driver
You see the RPM you're talking about right there. We were talking about RPM and the countdown to green. He's really not carrying that many RPM, but I think a lot has to do with shifting on every straightaway.
Yeah, he's not carrying the RPM we saw in practice yesterday. I think we saw guys running it up to about 93, 94, 9,500, then dropping to third gear, or then shifting at that point in time.
He's actually what we would call a short shift. If Larry, as Mike Cucci said, hey, you need to shift this thing at 94, 9,500 RPM, he's down about 300 RPMs lower than that. And it's just really taking care of your equipment a little bit. It's not pushing the envelope, especially this early in the race.
Welcome back to TNT's live coverage of the Partio and the Poconos 400 presented by Walmart. Pocono Raceway hosting today's event, and our pit road coverage presented by Phillips Norelco. Green flag pit stops are underway, and the first cycle begins at lap 25.
Stop here, his first pit stop, running 12th. He's saying he has no grip out there. The front end is just not on the ground. Possibly a shim change with this car.
And the 15 of Clint Boyer, he's already had his service on the 15 machine. It was really wicked loose, Ralph. They made a 4-round down change on the track bar.
4 tires in fuel for Carl Edwards right now. He said he had a high-frequency chatter on the left front. They're also going to make a slight chassis adjustment to the left side of the race car. He's done 4,600 RPMs on the way out. Chris Neville.
Well, Kyle Busch has been running up in the top 10, 7th most of this time. He said the car very loose, especially off turn 3. He really wants that car to get off turn 3. That's the most important spot on the racetrack. Possibly a track bar change. 4 tires, there's your track bar change right there.
Kevin Harvick leading pit road, running in 4th through much of that run, and very good at the end of that run. The car started too tight, then it got too loose at the end of the run. They went down half around on the track bar. Denny Hamlin only made up 1 spot during that run in 16th for much of that run. Car too loose for Denny Hamlin, 4 tires, and also a track bar adjustment for Denny Hamlin. Our leader, Jimmy Johnson, coming down pit road. He had very few bad things to say about his car. Took a while to get back to the front. It's a little too loose off 2 and 3, but then it got tighter the longer we went. The rubber changing on the racetrack changing very much throughout that run, Matt.
Service already complete for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Now he had some trash on the grill. Jr. was telling Steve Letarte the temperatures had continued to rise. The car was not bad, though. A little loose in. They made a slight chassis adjustment, Marty, to fix that, tighten him up.
Tony Stewart said it was very loose to start that run, but it got better the longer that we went. He said, I need a little help on exit. That's my biggest issue, Ralph.
Watching the 17 make their pit stop as well. He takes fuel tires, and he's back on his way.
Now we'll see how many guys get caught speeding. Yeah, because usually here at Pocono, a lot of guys get hammered for speeding. I want to go back to something, too. We've seen a lot of these cars pull over and let somebody pass when they get behind them. A lot of that has to do with if these guys are that loose, you don't want anybody driving up on your bumper going into a corner if they're that loose. So that's another reason why you see Carl Edwards and Matt Kenseth and some of these guys, when they get somebody up behind them, just let them go.
The other thing to pay attention to here is how long can you stay out on a run, because we know down the stretch fuel mileage could be big. Brad Keselowski, the race leader now, as we send it to Chris Neville.
Yeah, talking about fuel mileage being big, Jeff Gordon's been running around in the mid-teens. He's in 5th right now because of the way this is cycled through, but he's gone 28 laps on this stop. He's also saying that car very loose. He's going to do a rear right tire pressure change, also a track bar adjustment, trying to get the 24 off turn 3 much better. Marty?
Away that the Penske cars also were able to make a very long run here on the first run of the day. Joey Logano hitting pit road. Roger Penske on the radio with him after the big win in Detroit last night. 2 loose for Logano right now. Brad Keselowski also coming slowly down pit road, so they'll go longer than anybody else on this run. Brad said, if you could help me with a little lateral grip off 3, I would be forever indebted to you. He said, that's my biggest problem, getting off 3. But they, too, very good at the end of this run. They're going to make a track bar adjustment for Keselowski, trying to tighten that car up just a little bit. A full round down on the track bar for Keselowski and 4 tires.
Danica Patrick also stretching her fuel here. She's saying not a lot of grip in that car. She needs to get it down into the racetrack. But if all the drivers out here saying their cars are loose, Danica's saying her car pretty tight down in turn 3. So this team probably get a little bit of a track bar change there. Probably raising the track bar on the 10 car. But 4 tires and fuel.
Jamie McMurray has taken over the race lead. We're working lap 30 right now. Some of the front runners made their first pit stop of the afternoon as early as lap 25. Brad Keselowski stretched it to lap 29. That's a pretty big span over the course of the afternoon.
Yeah, but I think some of those guys are probably coming early is because they came in for handling changes as much as fuel. They needed to get off those tires and get on tires and make an adjustment. Ralph?
Jamie McMurray is in. He's been very, very loose. They called for 4 tires. They're ready for a chassis adjustment on this one as well. Fuel's in. Tires just about done, and Bono Manion's going to give the cue, and Jamie McMurray's going to be exiting pit lane.
And he's the last driver to make his stop under green. This is a scheduled cycle. Jimmy Johnson, the top man when it began. He had a 4-second advantage over second-place Carl Edwards. Now that the stops are complete, he's 3.3 seconds in front with 30 laps down at Poconos. Now let's take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with a free NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint network. Jimmy Johnson's led 22 laps today. That's the most of any driver. Get unlimited access to the car with the NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data from Sprint. No metering, no throttling, and no overages. All while on the Sprint network. For more, go to sprint.com/speed. So Jimmy has led 23 laps now as he crossed the start-finish line. Carl Edwards led the first 9, and Brad Keselowski was out front for 2 circuits on that cycle of green flag pit stops. And the sibling rivalry continues on track. Kurt Busch inside of Kyle for 6th.
That wasn't much of a rivalry right there. Kurt just drove past him. Oh, this is a rivalry. Kyle comes back.
Now, when you don't give him a break, then it becomes a rivalry.
Then it becomes, but, you know, here he runs him down and catches him, and there his brother wants to race him hard. And that's the way they race all the time. That's why it's exciting to watch Kurt and Kyle when they're anywhere close on the racetrack.
And here comes Brad Keselowski, who started 10th. I'm not sure I would stick my nose in the middle of that mess, but Brad may be trying to take advantage of a miscue from either Kyle or Kurt. And there's Brad going underneath the 78. That's for 7th.
Now, let's go back to that. Kurt leads going into turn 1, okay? And he's the first of that group of 3 cars. Coming out of turn 3, he's the third of that group of cars. He goes from the first car to the third. And that's the way this racetrack is. You can make one little slip, lose that momentum like he lost a little momentum because Kyle was inside of him going across the tunnel, which gave the 2 car of Brad a run on him to get into turn 3.
Brad had a top 5 last week at Dover. So far, so good today.
So far, so good, Adam. And the one question he had, you just answered. Did we lead a lap by staying out a few laps longer than everybody else? They reported back to him. Yes, we did. We led 2. Important bonus points for Brad Keselowski. He said, if you can help me early in the run, that's what I need. Into the run, I think we're great. But early in the run, that's where we're struggling. That's right now, trying to get past Kyle Busch, Adam.
Brad entered the weekend 10th in the championship. He's up to 8th right now.
And this kind of brings it back now. Now that everybody's been in pit lane and they've made their adjustments, now you'll start seeing the cream rise to the top. I mean, obviously we knew Jimmy was fast, Edwards was fast based on some of the practice times. But then we'll see some of these guys, you know, like back here, if they can move forward after making those big adjustments and chasing the racetrack.
Yeah, and talking about chasing the racetrack, maybe we can get Larry in on this. We listened doing practice yesterday. Everybody said, gosh, this place has got tons of grip. We can just do anything, but our cars are all tight. If we go back to the pit stop cycle, almost everyone, and maybe not everyone, but almost everyone is complaining about the looseness, the freeness of the car. There's no grip. What am I doing? And Larry, sometimes we sound like the Weather Channel up here. We talk so much about the weather, but I think to casual fans and people, they don't realize how much the weather does affect the racetrack and affect the adjustability of the cars.
Yeah, Kyle, I mean, when you look at this asphalt racetrack, when it cools down, it's going to gain grip. And yesterday, not only was it cool, there was no sun beating down on it. You look at today, the track temp is probably up 40 to 50 degrees, plus the sun is beating down on it. And I think yesterday, where they had a ton of grip was in the rear of the car, the rear tires. And I think what's given up grip today is this track is heated up, is the rear tires, and now instead of being too tight and the car not turning like yesterday, I think now the front's maybe gripping about the same, but the rear has no grip.
But you know, there's also a sweet spot to every racetrack when you show up. And that sweet spot is when there isn't that much rubber. You also got to think about all the rubber being laid down. When the track is gritty and it's green, the way we call it, the tires get in the racetrack a lot more, and you got grip. Now that we've run laps and laps and laps, that grid has been smoothed out with rubber.
True.
And so that on top of the weather and everything else, it makes the track a lot more slick.
Well, one other thing that may have made this track a little different, when this race started, we had an ARCA race here yesterday, and we've got quite a battle between Brad Keselowski in this 2 and Kyle Busch in the 18. This is a battle for 6, but they put a little different rubber down on the racetrack.
Yeah, that's a great point, Larry. That is a little bit different, and your car will react a little bit different because their compounds are different than the Goodyears we're running.
Kyle Busch running 6 right now, but he's being hunted, Chris.
Yeah, he's being hunted by that 2 car going through the tunnel turn right now. And his focus has been turn 3. He's happy with the car down in 1 and 2. But in turn 3, prior to that pit stop, he said the car was too loose off. They made that track bar adjustment. He said now the 18 really good off, but right in the center of the corner, not turning as well. So next time through, they're going to try and get the front of that car to grip right in the center of turn 3.
We're at the 1/4 point of the Party in the Poconos 400. And they might want to order a cake to the 48 pit because he's been flat dominant in the early stages. He's in front of Edwards and Earnhardt right now. 42 of 160 laps complete as we go past 2 o'clock in the east. NASCAR on TNT live at Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Jimmy Johnson brought his A game today. Outside of a few early laps to Carl Edwards and a cycle of green flag pit stops, he has owned the event to this point. Buckle your seatbelt and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge. Call **FAST from your mobile phone to predict who will have the fastest time in today's race. Brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. Jimmy Johnson leads. His teammate Dale Earnhardt Jr. in 3rd. That 88's been strong today, Matt.
And when you look back at the 88, Adam, of Dale Earnhardt Jr., now he's running in the 3rd position. The car has been going back and forth now. They started out like everyone else, searching for grip, especially on entry. Steve Letarte made some small adjustments to the car on their pit stop. He says now, if anything, the car is a little bit more on the snug side. Right now, he's just riding until their next stop, taking care of his equipment.
And one thing we've noticed here in the last 15, 20 minutes, if you look at the racetrack right now, the sun is shining down half of the straightaway into turn 1, and it's not over in turn 3. So I mean, this is going to be a constant battle with these guys today, chasing the racetrack.
In a give and take day for Hendrick Motorsports, you got Jeff Gordon running 16th. Casey Kane had the drivetrain issue, spent 20 laps in the garage. He's back out now, scored in 41st. Johnson and Earnhardt 1st and 3rd, respectively. The Hendrick cars have been great this season, but no one has led more laps than the guys from Joe Gibbs Racing. The two organizations combining to carry the flag early in the season when it comes to this Gen 6 car. And Denny Hamlin, after starting 17th, is up to 11th, Marty.
Yeah, that's the good news for Denny Hamlin. The bad news, Adam, for Denny Hamlin, and everybody's sensitive about it in the Toyota camp, is that he has reported that the engine, when he shifts into 3rd gear, lays over for a second, and then it takes off, almost like there is a delay. And he's only shifting really twice around the racetrack, so really one shift sequence for Denny Hamlin. But there's obvious concern in the 11 camp, obviously with all the work TRD did this week, backing down the power a little bit. In fact, they were chassis dynoing the cars late on Wednesday before the teams left to come here to Poconos. So some concern in the engine compartment. Nothing to be panicked about yet, but obviously you can imagine how everybody down here is a little bit worried when they say anything bad about the engine, guys.
I'm not sure what they're telling you down there, Marty, but it looks like Denny's shifting a lot more than twice a lap. And that, you know, it's hard not to shift in a place like Pocono, because if you leave it in gear, you let the car roll, and it just, you don't have the speed sometimes to do when you make those shifts. But I know on the other hand, these guys are a little bit concerned about some of the engine problems they've had in the past. They're trying to take care of that valve train and not turn the RPMs, because this place has been hard on engines, especially valve train, because you were up there on that, you know, the 94, 9,500 RPMs. You do that a couple times a lap, and you know, you're pushing it. You're pushing it.
All three Joe Gibbs cars running inside the top 11. The coach has won here 9 times. 4 of those victories delivered by Denny Hamlin, including a sweep in his rookie campaign back in 2006. But he's going to have to get a lot better if he's going to run down Jimmy Johnson, the 48, out front with 46 complete. I was saying that we've completed 50 of 160 laps.
That's what I thought you said.
In this 400-miler at Pocono. And per your request, Wally, we're going through the field, brought to you by McDonald's. Here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Jimmy Johnson making it look easy here this afternoon. A little stroll through the Pocono Mountains for Johnson. He's led 38 laps to this point. He said, I need a little help early in the run. Late in the run is when it comes to me. This is the same chassis he won with at Indianapolis last year. Hoping to get another win with it today. Ralph?
Carl Edwards will pit in 6 laps. He has 2 Pocono wins. The last time into the pits, he took 4 tires fuel and made a slight chassis adjustment. That seemed to have gotten rid of that high-frequency chatter he was experiencing in the left front.
Ralph, Dale Earnhardt Jr. second at Daytona and second at California, trying for his season's first win. Jr. right now just trying to save his equipment, telling Steve Letarte he's not going to shift over in the tunnel turn right now, just to save on wear and tear. Cloud cover over the racetrack, the car on the tight side.
Kevin Harvick back and forth, very happy with his race car, and also very happy with the fact that his crew chief Gil Martin is back here today. He flew in from Charlotte this morning. Gil Martin is back with Kevin Harvick and his race team after his father passed away Friday afternoon. The funeral will be Tuesday. He told me, I'm just happy to be here to get some time away to clear my head a little bit. Ralph?
Matt Kenseth runs in 20th, and the clouds are a really good thing for him. He would start the run with a lot of grip, then it would start to go away. When the clouds showed up, the grip came right back. Matt Kenseth looking pretty good in 5th right now, Chris.
Well, Raph, just a little while ago, we saw Denny Hamlin shifting in the 11 car. Just checked in with Dave Rogers on the 18, and he said, our plan today is not shift much. So Kyle Busch out there not shifting a lot in the 18 car. Happy with the direction that they're going. Get a lot more forward bite for the 18 off turn 3. Marty?
Brad Keselowski still trying to pass Kyle Busch, who's up there in the 6th position. About 4 laps from a stop for Brad Keselowski. Now, he won here in August of 2011. That week, he tested Road Atlanta. Well, this week, before we came to Pocono, he tested Road Atlanta, hoping to pull off the same feat again. Still trying to get around Kyle Busch. Ralph?
2-time Pocono winner Kurt Busch running in 8th place right now in car 78. They told him to move the brake lever to send more brakes to the rear of the car. They wanted to save the front brakes for late in the race, Marty.
Tony Stewart certainly happy with his win at Dover last week, but he told me he's more happy with the overall progress of the team. They got better at Charlotte with a top 10 finish. Clearly got the win last week at Dover, and happy to report to Steve Addington once again, we are much better today than we were yesterday. Car going in the correct direction for Tony Stewart, currently running in the 9th position, Chris.
And Greg Biffle rounding out the top 10. He says that car is a little tight early in the run, and then the last third of the run freeing up a little bit too much. I talked to Matt Fuchsia before the race, and he said the concerns over the aerodynamics of the car, they're still in the wind tunnel working on it, working on the windows, working on the NACA ducts, working on the cooling of that Ford. He said they're going to make progress. That car will be faster. Larry?
Yeah, Chris, we've been talking about Eric Almirola in his 43 car. He got on a run back earlier in the spring where he had 4 consecutive top 10 finishes. He just don't seem to go away. 12th in the points, only 15 points out of the top 10. He started 12th. He's still running 12th. You guys were talking earlier about his crew chief, Todd Parrott. Todd won here twice with Dale Jarrett, and he said he's the first crew chief he's had that doesn't try to fix him. Matt.
Larry Truex on pit road complaining that the car still way too free. It's not bad for 3 or 4 laps, and it progressively gets looser and looser. The team running top 10 times, Ralph, but they just need the track position.
Matt Kenseth making his way to pit lane, taking 4 tires, full load of fuel. Doesn't look like any chassis adjustments on this one, Marty.
All these RCR cars very early in the pit window, Ralph. Kevin Harvick said, my car is actually pretty good. I just need some track position at this point. Only an air pressure change for Harvick, trying to tighten the car up. Matt.
And now we see pit. Kyle Busch finishing his stop, already did right side tires, finishing left side tires, trying to just get that car turned a little bit more in the center of the corner. Matt?
And Clint Boyer on pit road. Track bar adjustment for Boyer. He says the car is similar to the first run. It just gets way too loose on entry, especially into turn 3. Just trying to change his line, be less aggressive, Ralph.
4 tires, fuel, a drink through the window for Carl Edwards, and they're going to make a chassis adjustment. They brought him in a lap earlier than they had talked about. He is away, Marty.
Tony Stewart brings his car down pit road very slowly to Steve Addington and the crew. He said, I need to rotate a little bit better, and he had the same complaint he had on the last run. Help me on exit as well, especially turn 3. I feel like that's where we're losing a little bit of time. Stewart will take 4 tires and also make a track bar adjustment. Chris?
Well, Jeff Gordon's been struggling most of the day outside of the top 15. That car early on, no grip. Then they finally made some adjustments. Track bar adjustment on the last stop. Started to finally grab hold of the racetrack, but he's still having a very difficult time getting off turn 3. We see another track bar adjustment on the 24s. 4 tires and fuel. Matt.
A year ago, an untimely caution ruined Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s chance for a first Pocono win. Jr. just out there riding like everyone else as the grip slowly goes away over the course of a run. Chassis adjustment for Dale Earnhardt Jr. Solid stop going on, and he's away, Marty, 13.4.
Denny Hamlin coming slowly down pit road. He has not said much about the engine since he made that one complaint about it sort of laying over when he shifts into 3rd gear, and clearly trying to save as many RPMs as he can out there. The car a little bit too loose for Hamlin at the beginning of that run. It'll be 4 tires for Denny Hamlin, and also they will make an air pressure adjustment trying to tighten that car up, especially at the beginning of the run for Denny Hamlin. They will also make a wedge adjustment for Denny Hamlin. And Jimmy Johnson, our leader, also coming down pit road. He didn't have much bad to say about his car either. He said, the beginning of the run is where I need a little bit of help. The end of the run is where I feel like we're really good, and that's not what the competition wants to hear, that they think they can make this 48 car even a little bit better for Jimmy Johnson. It'll be 4 tires for Johnson, also a track bar adjustment, trying to tighten it up at the beginning of the run.
Marty, Jimmy Johnson made his first pit stop of the afternoon under green at lap 27. So on this cycle, they have gone 30 laps. And now here comes Juan Pablo Montoya, scheduled stop at lap 57, Matt.
Even Denny Hamlin said the 42 team has really made improvements. They're one of those teams you got to worry about trying to lock in a wild card spot. Chassis adjustment for Montoya simply says, as the run goes on, the car's not bad, just more on the free side. But like Wally was saying, the loose condition is more just about lack of grip on this 42 machine, Chris.
Danica Patrick still trying to get that car to grab hold of the racetrack. Made some adjustments on the last one. Told her that the tires tires look good. Just go out and get some laps. We'll continue to try and improve on that car. She was here testing last week. That was the first time she's ever been to Pocono. Didn't come here nationwide, never came here in IndyCar. So she got a lot of laps that day and was able to really look at the data of her teammates, Tony Stewart and Ryan Newman.
Brad Keselowski once again has taken over the top spot. His first cycle of the day, he stayed out 29 laps. And the next time around, actually, this is the 29th lap he has been out on this run. We'll continue to monitor his situation as we send it back to Marty, his teammates on pit road.
Well, and they're both coming down pit road, both of the Penske cars coming down at him, and there was actually a little bit of debate on the radio between Brad Keselowski and his crew chief Paul Wolf about whether or not to come now. Joey Logano on pit road, you see that. Their car a little bit too loose at the beginning of the run, 4 tires for him. Brad Keselowski says his car just won't roll over on exit. Matt?
And the 39 of Ryan Newman, now they tested up here, like Chris touched on, and he said that the car, the worst part about their program at this run right now is it's too free on entry into turn 3. Chassis adjustment to fix it.
Here comes the defending champion. Keselowski hits pit road, and he said his car just won't rotate the way he wants it to in the middle of the corner, especially off threes. If that's what's hurting me the most, it's going to be a wedge adjustment for Brad Keselowski and 4 tires as he heads back out on the track.
If you're just joining us on this Sunday afternoon in Pocono, we have been caution-free as we complete 59 laps. Our second cycle of green flag pit stops complete. Jimmy Johnson, once again, the race leader. We will reset the running order when we continue. You're watching NASCAR on TNT live from Pocono. Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Just completed our second round of green flag pit stops today. And Kyle, you hit on something earlier. One of the great places to pick up ground in a race on a restart, because once you get going on a run, it's hard to gain ground. The other place on a cycle of pit stops, Carl Edwards didn't take over the race lead in that cycle from Jimmy Johnson, but he did gain a couple of seconds on track.
Well, I'll tell you, and I've said this, I think I said it 5 years ago. I think Matt Kenseth is the best guy out there of getting into the pits and getting and making a time during a pit stop. How he does it, you know, when it's rushing to the first cone, and what he does when he accelerates out of pit lane once he's back on the racetrack. He's one of the best guys at it.
Yeah, the best way to judge that is, as we just had a graphic up there, is the in lap and the out lap. So that's a total of that time on pit road and how you came in speed-wise and get back up to speed.
From the start-finish line.
From the start-finish line.
So you go start-finish line, pit out, and then back to the start-finish line. That's basically what that was.
So, and Juan used to be great at that when he ran Formula One and the Indy cars. He was great on what they referred to as cold tires, where Cup cars are best on their cold tires. The open wheel cars needed some heat in their tires, and Juan was incredible on cold tires. And I think that's an art that these guys continue to work on to perfect, because everybody says, well, he had a 16-second pit stop and he had a 13-second pit stop. How did he pass him if he was that much faster, but he had a slower pit stop? The way you pass is, it's easier to make up that 2 or 3 seconds coming in and going out than it is setting still. It's tough for those guys, and there were some phenomenal pit stops that we saw there on pit road.
Very little of the change about the guys that go over the wall. It's also about the driver, and as you guys said, how good they are getting on and off pit road. Get the screamingly fast Team Stream app from Bleacher Report to get your NASCAR news first. Download Team Stream from the App Store or Google Play and stay in the know. Jimmy Johnson, the race leader, with 65 laps complete. Carl Edwards, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Kevin Harvick, Matt Kenseth, the top 5. We continue after a break on TNT. Marty.
Jimmy Johnson at the very head of pit road. That was 2 tires for Johnson. He said, I need to rotate the center a little bit quicker. Also a chassis adjustment and a track bar adjustment. And I believe Johnson beat all those other guys off pit road. We'll see how it sorts out when we see the replay, Adam.
The race off pit road would indicate it was Jimmy Johnson, Dale Jr. jumping in front of Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth gaining 3 positions, and Kevin Harvick completing the top 5 as they come off pit road. Many of those in the top 10 taking 2 tires.
Yeah, they weren't in too long. It wasn't too long on those left side tires, so that was a pretty good call.
Pit road was a busy place, perhaps too busy for Brad Keselowski.
Oh, that was close.
First caution of the day comes out at lap 65. Going to give us an opportunity to step away for a moment. Back with the green flag on TNT after this. NASCAR on TNT back in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. TNT tonight, the aliens are back, and it's up to Earth to stop them. From executive producer Steven Spielberg, Falling Skies, 2-hour season premiere tonight, 9/8 Central only on TNT. First caution of the day, Danica Patrick was the first car one lap down, scored in 26th. She got the free pass and is now back on the lead lap. Her teammate Ryan Newman stayed out. He last pitted at lap 58. And Newman takes over the race lead with a little strategy play here. So behind Newman, Jimmy Johnson, who won the battle off pit road, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, and Kevin Harvick. Those are the first 5 cars in the running order that pitted, but they're scored second through 6th on track because of Newman staying out.
We were in a commercial when we went to caution. I'm not sure we ever said why we went to caution. It looked like somebody threw their blanket out on the racetrack, or crying towel, or whatever you want to say. It was in the middle of turn 1 and 2 down there. So somebody's blankie was on the racetrack or something. And I say that in a joking way, but it was a cloth or something laying in the middle of the racetrack.
So after 65 laps of caution-free, debris creates that first caution. And we were riding on board with Kyle Busch, and you guys noticed something that was quite interesting.
Yeah, I'm watching it, and it looked like his belts were unhooked. Yeah, and I don't know how you could get your belts rehooked when you're driving. It's really, really hard to do.
Even under caution. Yeah. Even under caution, because the car doesn't drive like a road car. You can't just turn loose of the steering wheel and it run in a straight line. A race car does not do that.
We said earlier, best time to make up ground on a restart. This is the first one we've had since getting the green flag earlier today. Front row, Ryan Newman, Jimmy Johnson. Right behind him, Dale Jr., Carl Edwards, Matt Kenseth, Kevin Harvick on row 3. We'll see who grabs the top spot as they scream down into turn 1.
I think you're going to see those right sides work right here. Guys like Jimmy Johnson, those guys. They're fanned out behind him.
Yeah. 3 wide here. Hamlin in the middle. Montoya to his right. And on the outside, you have Kyle Busch. Actually, Hamlin on the inside, not in the middle there. You got to sort it out before you get to the tunnel turn.
Yeah, the tunnel turn is bad enough 2 wide. It's all but impossible 3 wide.
Here comes that sibling rivalry again off of 3. Kyle Busch right behind brother Kurt. And Denny Hamlin in that mix as well.
Greg Biffle back there trying to make a move on Montoya.
See Harvick here on the inside. Harvick said earlier, our car's pretty good. We just need track position. It's tough to get that track position when every stop is under green. You just kind of maintain the distance between you and the leaders. This is the first opportunity that he's had to capitalize on getting everybody bunched back up, so he knows he needs to make hay now.
Right again, down into 2.
Now Tony Stewart there making it 3 wide. Carl Edwards led laps early, but he's dropped to 6th right now, Ralph.
Yeah, he might fall a little bit further, too, Adam. It was a bit of a rough pit stop for the 99 crew. Actually, first off, Carl went deeper into the pit box than crew chief Jimmy Fennick wanted him to. That made it a longer run for the gas man. Then things just kind of fell apart from there. They didn't take any tires. They weren't planning on it. But the fact that the pit stop ran long, Jimmy Fennick said after, we probably should have taken at least 2.
It's like as a golfer, you leave the driver in the bag, get out in the 3 wood so you can play it safe. You hit it in the water anyway. Trying to go for a 2-tire stop.
Hey, I can hit water with a 3-iron or a driver, so that doesn't mean anything to me.
Carl Edwards George trying to gain some positions, playing strategy, no tire stop, and unfortunately, as Ralph pointed out, it did not go his way. Something I don't think we've talked about, that the Stewart-Haas cars been pretty solid today. Ryan Newman, a runner-up. Tony Stewart, you see here, working over Greg Biffle, spent most of the afternoon in the top 10. A moment ago, Kyle was talking about Kevin Harvick, who's in the top 5. Both Stewart-Haas and RCR, Richard Childress Racing, tested up here a couple of weeks ago, trying to gain some knowledge. I think Chris talked about the Stewart-Haas guys doing that earlier, and certainly it's paying dividends based on what we're seeing.
Hey, what? Biffle's given Stewart fits. Finally, Stewart clears him.
Harvick is 5th in the running order right now. Marty?
Well, Adam, a lot of these guys in the back taking 2 tires. Tony Stewart among those, Denny Hamlin among those, and Harvick also. And Kyle, you talked about that strategy play of trying to get him a little bit of track position. Sometimes maybe 2 tires is better because you think those 2 tires eventually will pay off, and you can get around those guys who took no tires, like we see Carl Edwards struggling right now.
You can get away with that if it's early after a pit stop. You know, I mean, I think it helped these guys because there's not too many laps on their tires, and that was a great move on those guys to do that.
Dale Jr. is 3rd. He's been in the top 5 all afternoon, Matt.
Knowing that there were going to be various strategies up and down pit road, Adam, under that last caution, Steve Letarte went with fuel only. They only needed about 6 seconds of fuel. He told Dale Jr. that the set of tires will have another cycle on them, so they'll probably slightly tighter this run. Meanwhile, the guy right in front of him, Ryan Newman, they only had 6 laps on their tires. Fresh air is your friend. They tested here. They've got a lot of notebook data to go back on because of the varying temperatures, so they went just stay out, try to get as much track position as possible.
And the other thing, when you talk strategy at this stage, how much are you thinking ahead? Because at some point late in this race, track position going to be far bigger than it is now, and you have to be set up so you're in position to do a 2-tire or no tire stop late in the game, Larry.
Yeah, I'm sitting here trying to study the strategy with Ryan Newman, this 39 team, and Matt Bourne. I'm not going to say this strategy is wrong because we still have 85 laps to go, but because they stayed out, it kept them out of a window of making 2 more stops. I think, like everyone else, will have to make, especially Brad Keselowski, who we've noted in that 2 car, he's been the last driver to pit. So by my calculations, Ryan Newman in the 39, he's going to have to be on pit road here in about the next 10 to 12 laps and still have to make 2 more stops. So I'm not completely confident I agree with this strategy.
The good news for Newman, he's running 2nd, and he's close enough to the leader that when he pits under green, he will not lose a lap, but certainly going to give up a ton of track position. Right now, Jimmy Johnson with a 2.5 lead at Poconos. 79 laps completed Pocono. Jimmy Johnson has led 63 of those, but let's not forget, he led 143 laps last week at Dover, finished 17th after that pit road speeding penalty, or excuse me, that late race restart when he was black flagged. A lot of drama still to unfold here today. Buckle your seatbelt and play AT&T's Fastest Driver Challenge. Call ** FAST from your mobile phone to predict who will have the fastest times in today's race. Brought to you by the nation's fastest 4G LTE network, AT&T. Rethink possible. Johnson's lead 1.9 seconds over Ryan Newman. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who's been stout today, is 3rd. Matt Kenseth and Kevin Harvick in the top 5, and perhaps some drama developing in the 48 camp, Marty.
Well, no panic yet, Adam, but he's checking out from everybody with a vibration in the car. He said he definitely feels it each corner when the car is under load. Chackin now thinks it could have been because the left side tires obviously went through a heat cycle, so no concern down here yet, but Jimmy Johnson reporting a bit of a vibration when the car is under load in each corner.
You know, when a car is that good, you start feeling all kinds of things.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's obviously had his way today, and that thing is so hooked up. And like Marty said earlier, I believe this was a car that they won at the Speedway with. They're definitely going to probably take this car back to Indy because this thing has been on a rail.
Certainly dominated the first half of this race, and we have gone past halfway, completing 81 of the 160 laps. 4 leaders today, 4 lead changes, most of those throughout 2 cycles of green flag pit stops. 1 caution. It was for debris. It happened about 12 laps ago. It lasted for 4 laps. Other drivers who have led today, we told you about the 65. Jimmy Johnson has been out front. Carl Edwards led the first 9. Brad Keselowski, who has had good fuel mileage today, staying out on those long green flag runs, has led twice on a cycle of stops for 2 laps each. So he's had 4 laps out front. And Ryan Newman, who you see right behind Jimmy Johnson, led 3 laps under caution when he stayed out a while ago.
And I mean, we had that yellow, but if you look at the times, and I mean, Jimmy is just stretching on these guys. He already got 15 seconds on Jeff Gordon, who's in 17th spot.
True, but I am going to say this, though. He's not really stretching on Newman right now. You know what I mean?
Surprising.
Surprisingly, he is not really stretching on Newman. And so many times we see it. We talk about clean air, and you hear these drivers talk about clean air. Newman's been mired back in 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th. They make a strategy call. They make a change. As Larry said, may not be the right thing, but you see how this car can perform when it gets up front. And they did test here, but he's really not driving off and leaving Newman like he did early in the race when he cut through it.
To your point, Edwards was running second, a strong second most of the race. And he got back because of some problems on a pit stop. He's back in 7th and has gone nowhere from there.
Yeah, it's tough to go anywhere.
Exactly what you're saying.
And that's why we say you've got to get everything you can on those restarts, because you need that clean air, and you only want 1 car in front of you or no cars in front of you.
And not give anything away when you hit pit lane.
Exactly.
And how many times have we heard a driver say this week, this year rather, that my car is great on old tires? Newman on the same tires that he got when he came down under green at lap 58. Marty?
The AA might be able to give you an explanation as to why Jimmy Johnson not really pulling away. About 5-6 laps ago, Chad Canal said, hey, can you save me some fuel on this run? And then 1 lap ago, Chad said, make sure you back it down for me. Save a little bit of fuel for me on this run. So Johnson with an enormous lead and saving fuel at the same time. How about that?
That's pretty good. That's kind of like Jimmy on the restart last week, driving off from everybody at half throttle. Okay, that was a smart aleck remark.
Hey, guys, I've been running the fuel numbers, and I think I know why Chad Canals is backing him down, because it looks like to me that they can run about 28 to 29 laps as far as running wide open, which we know he's been most of the day. I've been doing my numbers based on 30 laps. If you take the 30 laps off of 160, the last stop needs to come at lap 130, and then the next to the last at lap 100. So I think what he's trying to do on these last 2 runs, if we stay green, is buy about a lap to a lap and a half of fuel.
Yeah. I hate for everybody else, but his last 2 laps, he just run 171, and that's faster than anybody. So if he's saving fuel and running, a mile an hour faster than everybody, they've got it made.
They've got something.
Jimmy Johnson dominating this event. He's got a 1.5 second lead over Ryan Newman. 85 of 160 completed Pocono. Get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with the free NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Network. 8 lead changes today among 4 different drivers. Jimmy Johnson leading 72 of 88 laps. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. Only 1 caution today. It was for debris about 20 laps ago. Fewest cautions ever at Pocono. 1 July of 1978. So Jimmy Johnson out front. He swept here in 2004, has not won since, despite the fact that he has only finished outside the top 15 once. But how about this? Since his last win here in 2004, he's won 52 times at 17 different tracks. When you look at his numbers historically, I think the 48 is overdue and certainly proving it here today. Let's go to Matt Yoakum.
Ryan Newman running in second, the 39 machine. Remember, he stayed out for track position. Now he's going to pay the price. Newman will have to pit around lap 91. Ryan told Matt Borland, his crew chief, do not try to stretch it on fuel. I feel like this run, I have not conserved as much, and we're wearing more on the fuel mileage side, so don't push it so we run out of fuel. They should be on pit road in about 2 laps.
A lot of conversation about fuel conservation at this stage of the day. We just heard from Matt on Ryan Newman. We've talked about Jimmy Johnson. And while we were at break, Kevin Harvick let Brad Keselowski go by. Gil Martin, Kevin's crew chief, told him save fuel. Kevin said, you want me to let the 2-car go by? And he said yes.
Yeah, it amazes me how technical this sport has gotten, where they know fuel mileage and they can figure this stuff. We used to come to the racetrack. Remember coming up here with 100 years ago when they ran, when the King and Pearson and Bobby and all those guys, you just went out and ran as hard as you could all day long. You know, nobody talked about fuel mileage. Nobody talked about stuff like that. Now they have it figured to the nth degree. Here we are halfway through the race, and these guys are in conservation mode. They're not in race mode. They're in conservation mode to put them in position so they can race at the end of the race. So they race for the win, which is a totally different strategy and a totally different type of racing than I grew up on.
And Brad Keselowski not only went around Kevin Harvick, but he drove by Matt Kenseth as well. And here comes Ryan Newman. Scheduled green flag stop for him, Matt.
Some of the other Hendricks Chevys are about 7 or 8 laps away. Newman is on pit road. Matt Boylan calling him in. Track bar adjustment for Newman. He was much more free this run, especially at entry into turn 1 and turn 3. Kelly Kells came back over after several years of Hendrick Motorsports, back being a front tire changer at Stewart Haas Racing in the 39. He's away.
And they obviously took a gamble. If the yellow would have come out a lap ago, that would put those guys back in a really good position. So, I mean, it's a gamble worth taking when you're back in the middle of the pack and you can't get track position.
And earlier we were talking during break about A.J. Allmendinger. Those guys pitted after 10 or 11 laps into the race. They were basically running the race backwards strategy-wise.
Much like you would a road course.
Much like you would a road course to put themselves in position. Now, they got unlucky because the caution came out, and they can't work the strategy the full race, but they did get lucky because when the caution came out, they were back on the lead lap. But they spent a lot of time in the first half of this race, 1 lap down.
Right now, A.J. Allmendinger, who's back running in the Sprint Cup Series for the first time in about a month after spending some time in IndyCar, is scored in the 26th position. Matt Kenseth right now is 4th on the track. Ralph?
Well, of course, crew chiefs want everything, and Jason Ratcliffe is no different. He's got Matt Kenseth running in 4th place right now. They want him to save them a lap of fuel. They're just past the halfway point in this fuel run for the 20 car. He said, well, do you want me to give up a couple of spots? Because I might lose that if I try to save you that much fuel. And he says, well, not really. We want you to hang on to the spots, but we think the guys behind you are doing the same thing. So it's a tricky balance for the driver out there of how far do I get out of the throttle and how soon do I do it. But at the same time, I got to keep an eye on that rear view mirror.
Yeah, you look at like his last lap, Ralph. He run 168.5 miles per hour with a guy in front of him that's running 171, which is Brad Keselowski, which is getting good gas mileage. But yeah, you start dropping 1 or 2 miles per hour per lap. That's a lot of track space too. I mean, I know you're trying to make it on fuel mileage, but well, you're losing a lot of ground on the racetrack as well.
The Coca-Cola in-car camera on Race Buddy lets you ride shotgun with a Coca-Cola Racing family driver. Go to NASCAR.com and check out the Coca-Cola in-car camera on Race Buddy. Martin Truex Jr. on pit road, Matt.
3 to 4 laps less on fuel expected for this past run. That's why they called him in at this point for Martin Truex. His biggest issue, though, Adam, he kept telling Chad Johnson, we've got to try to figure out aero-wise why we're having such a problem once we get close to other cars. It's like hitting a wall. Cannot make progress with this 56 machine.
He came in at lap 94. That stop a moment ago for Ryan Newman, it came at 91. He has dropped down to 26th. All the other leaders going to be on pit road when we come back. You're watching NASCAR on TNT. NASCAR on TNT, live in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. The Pocono Raceway, hosting round 14 for the Sprint Cup Series. It's the Party in the Poconos 400 presented by Walmart. A cycle of green flag pit stops underway. And the last time the leaders were in, lap 67, that was under caution. Jimmy Johnson goes across the start-finish line as the leader, completing lap 98. So he has now gone north of 30 laps on this run. And among the drivers that have already been to pit road, Martin Truex Jr., Eric Almirola, and now our pit coverage being presented by Phillips Norelco. Here's Ralph Shaheen.
Here we go. Matt Kenseth diving down onto pit road. Chassis adjustment on that right rear. 4 tires in fuel is the call for the 20 of Matt Kenseth. Little bit of trouble
coming at lap 99. Denny Hamlin said 2 words for you: track position. That's what we need. He said the car just too tight. It needs to roll better. They're going to make a chassis adjustment for Denny Hamlin. Also air pressure adjustment, trying to loosen that car up for Hamlin, who feels like he could have something for him if he could get to the front, Matt.
Clint Boyer has his Toyota, 4 tires for Boyer. Boyer says it's just killing him the entry into turn 3. That's where he feels like he is giving up so much track position to the other cars.
Lap 99, here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Brad Keselowski. Let's get the Junior stop from Matt.
Lap 99, that's where Steve Letarte wanted to stretch it to bring Junior to pit road. Chassis adjustment for Junior track bar. Just trying to tighten him up even more with the sun being out. This puts the 88 team and so many others, Marty, in the position of one more stop to the finish.
Kevin Harvick on pit road, also Brad Keselowski. Harvick saying that his car still a little bit too free. They've made no adjustments to it on the last 2 stops. Brad Keselowski in front of him. This is a little interesting. The Penske boys have been able to go longer than everybody else today, but they decided to short pit a little bit this time as he drag races Junior off pit road. He said his car still a little too free, needs to roll the center much better.
And we see Kyle Busch leaving pit lane. He's just outside the top 5 right now. Dave Rogers telling him on the radio, I need another 3/10 out of that car to keep you up with the 48. He said, I need the car to cut better down in 1 and have more grip down in 3. Marty.
What a stint for Jimmy Johnson as he just walked them, left them on the racetrack and was saving fuel at the same time. He said, my car could be just a little bit better. It's a little too tight into 3 and into 1, but I am pretty good off the corner. So for Jimmy Johnson, it's just going to be an air pressure adjustment and 4 tires as they'll try to obviously keep the lead here leaving pit road, which I don't think will be a problem. A little bit of a slow stop. They'll lose a little bit of time, but will still be your leader.
Jamie McMurray has been working a bit of a different fuel strategy today. They ran late, long time coming off pit road. They went late earlier on today, trying to buy themselves some track position, but boy, that pit stop right there might have hurt them.
And there you see Kevin Harvick. He'd already made his stop, but Ralphie's driving down the pit lane, a pass-through penalty too fast when he came down and made his stop. That's tough for Kevin, who was running inside the top 5. Had a great car, and it was on exit when he got penalized.
There's one place you don't want to drive through penalty. It's at Pocono, because the pits are a mile long.
Remember up here a couple of years ago when we had all those penalties?
It's like every other guy was getting.
Right after they repaved this thing. But Kevin had talked about track position. He needed track position to get back in the game. They got the caution, they got their track position, and you give it all up on one mistake.
Ryan Newman has put himself back in the race lead. After this cycle of pit stops, we'll reset the field when we come back. At Pocono Raceway, Ryan Newman is the race leader, and they have made a strategy play. Stayed out under caution at lap 67, had to make their green flag pit stop at lap 91, and when the rest of the leaders came down under green, Newman is now cycled back to the front. Look at our green flag pit stop numbers here. Johnson dropping to 2nd, and Brad Keselowski, the big gainer, jumping 2 positions to 3rd. Time now for our Ram. No guts, no glory. Tell us about the strategy for the 39 team, Larry.
Well, I know I questioned it, but here's the whole scenario. Ryan Newman in the 39, he's going to have to be back on pit road about lap 121. That will not take him to the end at lap 160. He'll have to pit for probably a splash of fuel with 10 to go. All the other leaders only have to make 1 more stop. But unless it's during that window between when he makes a green flag stop and the leaders, say 121 to 130, if a caution comes out at any time, Matt Yoakum, this could be a great move by Ryan Newman and Matt Borland.
Larry Mack concerned in the Newman pit. He may have to hit pit road earlier than when his fuel window dictates. Newman, shortly after his last stop, reported to Matt Borland, I have a vibration. I believe it might be a loose left wheel. I will try to ride it out, have the guys on the wall on standby in case it gets too worse and I have to hit pit road. Right now, they're on standby, and he's still leading.
Well, that's not the end of the world. I know they do not want to pit until they have to, but regardless, sitting here right now, he has to make 2 more stops, whether he pits on this lap or here in about another 13 or 14 laps.
But Larry, the only thing would be if he could stay out and the yellow came out one lap before he had to hit pit lane, that put him back on all the rest of the guys' sequence. Plus, he gets track position,
yes,
right?
because we know everyone will come to pit road.
Right.
So, yeah, unless that caution falls between when he pits and the leaders make their green flag stop, this could work out pretty good. But now we have another situation with possibly a loose wheel.
And as we pointed out earlier, if you're leading here and you have to come to pit road, you're not going to lose a lap because of how long it takes to turn one at Pocono. The other thing we should point out, when you get behind Newman, Jimmy Johnson, who was the race leader and has dominated this race, is running second. But on that cycle of stops, as you see the battle for 6th, 7th, and 8th, Brad Keselowski picked up 5 seconds on the 48. And Kyle, you've got a theory on that.
Yeah, but he picked up a lot of time on the 48. But we've heard Larry's analysis of what pit stops are doing and what guys are trying to do strategy-wise. Did the 48 stretch his lead enough while running behind Newman, running with Newman there, and feel comfortable enough to stay in the pits for an extra 1 or 2 or 3 seconds and pack that thing full of fuel so that they know that thing is completely fueled? Because when you're coming in and busting off a 12.9 or a 12 pit stop, then you're not sure that you've got it completely full sometimes. But I think those guys don't want to make a mistake this week on pit road, on the racetrack, anywhere. On restarts, it doesn't make any difference. So I think they probably gave up a few seconds right there.
Better safe than sorry when you have a car as good as the 48. And speaking of good, Kurt Busch rallying to the front. Inside of Denny Hamlin, he's now 6th, but he finds himself 13 seconds off the race lead. 8 laps remaining at Pocono. Ryan Newman continues to lead, but at what at one point was over 2.5-second advantage has shrunk, and here comes Jimmy Johnson once again flexing his muscles as he has all afternoon long.
And Jimmy doesn't have to force the issue. Obviously, he knows that Newman's got to hit pit road here in the next few laps. But, you know, Newman's been running good lap times. In fact, he stepped it up when he saw Johnson coming.
And here's a place where Jimmy just pulls out on him. But here's an opportunity where Jimmy could just ride behind him and save more fuel.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah. Jimmy Johnson back to the point. He's led 84 laps today, so he's already led over half the laps available in this race, and now he takes over the point at the most critical time going down the stretch. Got to be feeling good about it, Marty.
I think they're feeling pretty good, Adam. They're having a nice little drive today, and Chad Knaus wanted him to make quick work of Ryan Newman. He said, be careful. He has to pit very soon. We don't want that thing to stumble and be right behind him and then be caught up in a wreck, obviously.
Yeah, and back to what Kyle was saying about saving fuel, I think it probably wouldn't be a bad idea, but he also got Keselowski in his mirror. So, you know, it's something you don't want to have him get very close to you if possible.
Jimmy Johnson,
very strong.
0.6 of a second in front of Ryan Newman. Brad Keselowski another 2.5 seconds behind. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is 4th, and running in the 5th position is Matt Kenseth. And his teammates Denny Hamlin and Kyle Busch right behind him in 7th and 8th respectively. So now we go to our cars.com. All drive, no drama. Pocono, a track where Joe Gibbs has won 9 times. All the talk about the engine issues and what is TRD going to do to help the Toyotas going forward. The Gibbs camp answering the bell today, running very well with all 3 of their machines inside the top 8, Kyle.
Yes, they are. But when they've had engine issues in the past, they've been dominating a race. They've been out front. They've been leading, running 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. They don't usually break stuff when they're back like this. And then TRD back off a little bit to make sure they made it. Larry was really good in pre-race on going green when he talked about the sustained RPMs, sustained in 3rd gear, sustained in 4th gear. Where last week they had trouble at Dover, where you just peaked that top RPM. So maybe they backed off a little bit. Obviously not a lot because they're still in the top 10.
Yeah.
But these cars, chassis-wise, have been really good this year also.
But you know, a couple hundred RPMs makes a huge difference too, Kyle, when you're racing guys. I mean, that 1 or 200 RPM that I can't use if you're using them shows up on the straightaway.
Talking about Joe Gibbs, Matt Kenseth has won 3 times this year. Jimmy Johnson has 2 wins, the Daytona 500 and at Martinsville. He would like to get the hat trick this afternoon. He's in charge right now. Aerial coverage coverage of today's race provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. Closing on the fourth quarter of this 160-lap race at Pocono. Let's go through the field. Brought to you by McDonald's. Marty Snyder leads us off.
Well, Jimmy Johnson told me earlier this week, he said we may only have 2 wins here in the record column, but I tell you what, we've had much more speed than that here at Pocono. He said last year in August, we had the best car. Couldn't finish it off with a win. They're hoping to finish it off today. They will pit about lap 130. Johnson on the radio moments ago, kind of scary for the rest of the field. The longer I go, the better this car gets, Matt.
Ryan Newman running in second, trying for a second Pocono win. Different sequence than the other contenders. He will have to pit around lap 122 is when they're scheduled to hit pit road. He's also reporting, as several other drivers, possible oil in 3. They're trying to hold out hope for a caution, but they aren't going to be able to go past 122.
Brad Keselowski back there in third. Matt, they gained 5 seconds on the last pit stops, and on the track right now, they are currently the fastest car out there. I talked to Paul Wolf moments ago. He told me now, even though we've pitted longer than everybody else all day long, we're in the sequence with the leaders. We'll pit about lap 129 or 130.
And Dale Earnhardt Jr. trying to score a Pocono win. Steve Letarte told him they are on schedule. They should hit pit road on lap 130 for their final stop. Ralph.
Now, when it comes to the number 20 of Matt Kenseth, they're thinking one more stop, probably just 4 tires and fuel. They're pretty happy with the race car. Now they just need a good pit stop, gain some track position, and make a run at it. Kurt Busch, you might remember earlier we talked about the fact that they wanted him to take front brake out of the car to save those front brakes for later. Well, now's the time to dial it back in for this final push to the finish. They're also looking at one more pit stop to close this day out.
Ralph Kyle Busch still looking for his first win at Pocono, and I don't think he's going to break through today. Most of the day he's been running in the back half of the top 10. That car essentially has been too loose down in turn 1, and early on in these runs, a little too tight down through turn 3. So they're still struggling with the setup on the 18. Marty?
Well, Chris, we started the day all access with Denny Hamlin. Currently he's in the 8th position in kind of a big picture day. They have a very nice top 10 going. If they're going to get back in this championship hunt, these are the kind of days they need. Denny feels like they have a very good car. They just need some track position. Ralph?
Jimmy Fennig, crew chief for the 99 of Carl Edwards, told me just minutes ago they will make one more stop. They're currently running in 9th. My guess is their biggest problem is not going to be what's coming, but what was. They remember they needed to take 2 tires earlier, did not do it. They gave up a tremendous amount of track position, Matt. I don't think they're going to be able to make it back up today.
And Ryan Newman makes his way to pit road to top him off on fuel. Remember, off sequence. Now they're going to hope for a late caution to get everyone back together.
Ryan Newman makes his pit stop at lap 122. And another driver that's going to need 2 more stops, Larry, is that 56 car, Martin Truex Jr.
Yeah, what I was going to say, the 6 races leading into Dover, Martin Truex Jr., this 56 team, they had moved from 25th to 9th in points. Had the engine failure at Dover, fell back to 14th in points. He's been running anywhere from about 10th to 15th. Looks like to me with making one more stop, he's sitting there running 12th. Luck's just not with him anymore.
More green flag pit stops when we continue from Pocono after the break. .35 laps to go at Pocono, second caution of the day. The report, fluid from the 56 car of Martin Truex Jr., who was actually coming down pit road to make a green flag stop when the caution came out. So to reset the lineup, Jimmy Johnson back out front, Brad Keselowski, Dale Earnhardt Jr., Matt Kenseth, Kurt Busch, the top 5. Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards, Juan Montoya, Greg Biffle, the top 10. Free pass under caution goes to A.J. Allmendinger in the 51. So you're going to pit here and get service with 34 to go, and this is on the very outside edge of being able to go the distance on this stop.
Does this play into Newman's hand, though? He shouldn't come in. If he stays out, he's going to be the leader, and he just pitted.
He's 19th. Here are the top 10. Ralph Shaheen leads off our pit coverage.
Oh, Matt Kenseth gets the rear of his car way loose under brakes as he hits the line. Now he brings it to a stop. It was a little bit tight. He's having a hard time getting the front right as Busch getting way down under the track, Matt. He's a shim up there, not going to be able to do it. Here's Matt Yoder.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. says the car is still snug. Steve Letarte told juniors using these pit roads, going to fuel conservation mode. We're 3 laps short from the finish, Chris.
Kyle Busch picked up 3/10 those last couple laps. One of the fastest cars on the racetrack. No changes, even though this car tight. He says he wants the security in traffic. Hardy?
Jimmy Johnson said his car was a little too loose at the end of the run. Just 2 tires for Johnson. They do win the race off of pit road, down 1 round on the track bar, trying to tighten it up at the end of the run.
Johnson wins the battle off, as Marty pointed out. Denny Hamlin jumping 5 positions to second. Dale Jr., Brad Keselowski, Kyle Busch, the top 5 off pit road. We reset the running order when we come back, and Matt Kenseth with some contact there coming on with Dale Earnhardt Jr. Back in a moment. Let's take an inside look and get unlimited access to the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series with the free NASCAR Mobile 13 app and truly unlimited data on the Sprint Network. Today's top speed turned by Tony Stewart, a 2-time winner here. 211 miles per hour. Learn more at sprint.com/speed. After this cycle of caution pit stops, the race leader is Ryan Newman. He stayed out, and of course he's on a different strategy. Newman last pitted at lap 122. That's 38 laps remaining. Jimmy Johnson and the guys behind him, who were the front runners when the caution came out, all pitted under caution here at lap 126. That's 34 to go. Pretty much no way Ryan Newman can make it to 38 laps, but 34, if you manage your fuel mileage here, might work out.
Well, you can make it. That you're not going to win if you're managing fuel mileage. I think my big concern, Carl, and I don't know what you think about this, but that's asking a lot having those left sides on the 48 car. That's basically going to be almost 2 runs, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, if we go back to the time he hit it, at least a run.
The last time he put lefts on.
The last time he put lefts on, then yeah, that's pretty much at least a full segment and a half at least.
And how about this? Denny Hamlin, who came off pit road in second, will restart third because, of course, Newman stayed out. He picked up 5 positions. They took 4 tires. He spent the week with his race team watching pit crew practice. They were impressive.
The key is going to be that Jimmy's got to get out front and use all that clean air. If you got 2 tires, you can make it work if you run out front. But if Danny gets in front of you, you got your hands full.
You got your hands full. And we're into a little bit of this. Newman knows he's staying true to his strategy. They got to pit one more time, come heck or high water. These other guys, 34 laps is stretching them. We've only seen 29 or 30 laps, so we're within a 3 or 4 lap window here. We saw the 99 come down pit road, give up all his track position to top off.
Hey,
so
guys,
when we look
real quick, look what Jimmy Johnson's doing right there.
Yeah, we saw
He's
that.
cutting that engine off, letting it coast, shutting it back off.
Yeah, I got that, but let me say this. If we had cameras in all 43 cars, we'd be seeing the same thing.
More than likely.
Yeah, everybody is saving fuel at this point in time. So there's 2 or 3 different things out there, and I think the 99 is counting on a bunch of guys running out of gas towards the end without another caution.
Jimmy Johnson, our Goodyear superior performer today for so many reasons. Marty, what do you have?
Well, Adam, Chad Knaus has told him on the radio, we are about 1.5 laps to 2 laps short. The problem is they're pretty sure Brad Keselowski and his team can make it all the way on fuel. So they've asked Jimmy, save every drop you can for me. They've also asked him, how about not shifting through the tunnel turn as you go through this run? So be interested to see what happens here, Adam.
Restart. Going to come at lap 129. 31 laps remaining as we get after it once again at Pocono.
And again, I think that all works possibly if you can get the lead. But if he gets back in traffic, I think he's toast.
Tony Stewart thought about making it 3 wide into turn 1. Johnson takes the top spot from Newman, and they fan out behind him onto the long pond straightaway.
Oh, whoa.
How about 4 wide?
Crowded down there, too.
Tony Stewart, a man on a mission since the green flag went back in the air.
And that was a move. He just muscled it up in there. A couple other restarts, he's kind of giving it back when he got there. But again, he knows he's got to make this happen now and then fall into that pace and try to make this thing go. That 32, 33, 34 laps.
This may be your last chance to gain ground. That's Matt Kenseth inside of Greg Biffle. Biffle, another one of the drivers that got 2 tires on that last stop.
Real contact there between Biffle and Kenseth on the straightaway.
They used to be teammates at Roush Fenway. Kenseth making the move to Joe Gibbs Racing in the offseason. Here's Jeff Gordon working inside of Kurt Busch.
I don't think these guys are through with each other. I mean, Biffle and Kenseth, they are running each other hard.
Haven't talked a lot about Jeff Gordon today, a 6-time winner here. You saw him trying to make a move. And now Tony Stewart flashing to the inside of Biffle as they head to the tunnel turn. You're on board with smoke.
He just wrap that accelerator right there just to make the car rotate.
And it's hard when you're on the outside this late in the race. There's so much debris up there in that high line where Biffle's running. It's really tough to get a hold of the racetrack.
Yeah, you saw Matt and the 16 kind of get together. Got Biffle hung on the outside. Now he's lost 3 positions in about a lap and a half.
Stewart is 8th. He's officially pushed the go button, Marty.
The call here right on the head. That's what Tony Stewart's had a problem with. He's had a problem with the car rotating in the center of the corner and then off. He's been a little too loose, so he's trying to make it work. But you're right, Adam. He has been on a mission since this green flag.
I said when Tony won last week at Dover, it reminded me of when he won the championship in 2011. Throughout the month of August, they weren't running good. In fact, Tony even said we don't deserve to be in the chase. As he gets one more, powering around Matt Kenseth, put Tony Stewart now up to 6th on the board. But last week reminded me of Tony Stewart when he won that title, kind of put the crew on his shoulders and carried him. And he's doing something similar here in the latter stages at Poconos. Kyle Busch able to get by his teammate Matt Kenseth. He's 2 is moving forward late. He's now 7th.
I think I'm just going to start criticizing Tony every week because every time I criticize him, he runs good.
Well, and a big conversation throughout the week in NASCAR circles, and we hit it today on Countdown to Green. Are they back after the win at Dover? Many people believe not, but today they have been good.
Tell you what, Matt seems like he's struggling, right? And,
Yes.
and has been on these restarts.
Yes, he has.
Usually after about 5 or 6 laps, Matt is as good as anybody out there, but he loses a lot of ground on these restarts.
Yes, he does. And you know, we've talked about it. He loses ground when everybody else says that's when I've got to make up as much ground as I can.
Oh, contact. Around goes Montoya. Kenseth with him. This is in the tunnel turn. Kurt Busch able to avoid it. Caution is out as Gordon goes by. And the field scattering behind him.
Just tires.
Well, everybody did a really good job avoiding that mess.
This eliminates the fuel mileage.
Yeah.
If they come down, if some of them come down pit road. I'm going to tell you, Tony did a great job
Bring
there.
it to us here. Bring it to us 4 tires, guys. When he gets here, let's look at that nose.
And you hear him, neither one of these cars appeared to hit anything. It was just more like a synchronized spin. But you know what? I may be wrong. Tony may be back. That was good. But this is just forcing the issue, getting down over the tunnel turn. We talked about how hard it is to go too wide on new tires. This is on old tires, or 4 or 5 lap tires.
Matt Kenseth was going in the wrong direction. Everyone trying to take advantage. Montoya put him on the hit list, and here's the replay of what happened over in the tunnel turn.
Montoya actually lost control of his car getting into it, and Matt was kind of he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. That was Montoya's fault right there.
It's like we talk about. So it's give and take corner, and you've got to give a little bit. Montoya forced the issue, and as you watch the replay, he's not all the way down at the yellow line. He's going up the racetrack instead of coming back. Well, Matt anticipated him turning, and when he didn't turn, they just got together.
When your wheels are pointed to the right before you even get to the center of the corner,
you're in trouble.
That's where Montoya was. Now, getting back to some of these guys up front, which I thought was going to be a little bit of an issue for Johnson. This helps Johnson a ton because it takes those green flag laps off those left side tires. So that's going to help him. And as Kyle said, fuel mileage is going to help everybody now.
Yes.
Joey Logano won this race a year ago. He had a front row seat for that spin a moment ago.
Still good behind you. Get down, get down, get down. Good job.
Great shot. You saw as the 42 kind of started up the racetrack, Joey had already rotated his car to the left to turn under him.
What is that?
I don't know what that is, Flatley.
It was Tab Boyd, the spotter for
It's the
Joey
piece
Logano.
under the roof flap. Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
The piece that holds the roof flap up.
The leaders stay on track. This caution helps them out to conserve fuel. 25 to go when we come back. 25 laps to go at Pocono. It'll be Ryan Newman who's playing strategy that joins him on the front row. TNT tonight, the aliens are back, and it's up to Earth to stop them. From executive producer Steven Spielberg, Falling Skies, a 2-hour season premiere tonight, 9/8 Central only on TNT. During the break, we were talking about the fuel situation. Larry feels like all those guys that pitted at lap 126 are good. Some questions for Newman.
All I got to say is, no matter where Newman's at, if I'm Hamlin or Keselowski or Stewart or Busch, I don't want to be anywhere near Newman with 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
Because if that thing runs out of fuel and you're behind them, it's going to be a big wreck. And I think most of these guys should probably being aware of that, because Newman's it's definitely close. These yellows are helping them tremendously. But boy, it doesn't give you much warning.
What's the calculator say, Larry?
Well, I still think it's very close on Ryan Newman because he pitted lap 122 with 38 to go. Now, here's the factor, though, we need to throw in there. We've had, when we take this green, we've had 9 caution laps. It's a 2-to-1 ratio. So even if you take 32 laps and add 5 to it, he's still a couple of laps short.
Jimmy Johnson, the race leader, chooses the outside lane. Green flag back in the air. 24 laps remaining at Pocono. And look at him fan out as we head down to turn 1.
Junior's looking to the inside right here.
Oh. Stacked 3 wide behind him. That's Keselowski trying to get inside of Tony Stewart.
Definitely see the sense of urgency on that restart. This guy's got it, like we've been talking about all day. Now's the time where you make hay. On these restarts, we got Tony
Keselowski loose, and he saved it. So did Tony Stewart. Wow. Unbelievable save by the men who have won the last 2 championships.
Save, unfortunately, they're going to lose about 20 positions because of it. But
that was incredible right there. That's the freest part of the racetrack, like we talked earlier.
That's where we just got the caution.
And that's where you get to the point where you just, when you get there, you just sling the car and pitch it across the corner and hope it catches on something. And I'm telling you, Brad and Tony both, phenomenal job.
I didn't think there was any way Brad was going to be able to hang on to that blue deuce, and he did.
Probably a good thing it was on the restart.
And you see, same thing, just like Montoya. He gets down under the 14, drifts up into him, gets him a little sideways, knocks Tony up into the loose stuff, and both recover.
And I believe Brad.
Oh, Dave Blaney around. And David Rudeman right there with him, and now we've got our 4th caution of the day.
I believe Brad may have hit that curb.
Could have when he came back across.
Well, that's why he got shoved up into Tony.
Could have.
They were running 5th and 6th.
We just need 4 tires.
When they spun, now 10th and 14th are Tony Stewart and Brad Keselowski.
This is all working into Newman's hand right now.
Absolutely. Another caution, meaning Ryan Newman can save some more fuel, and as Larry just pointed out, it's about a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 caution laps to 1 green flag lap when it comes to fuel mileage at a place like Pocono. David Gilliland gets the free pass. Now the reason for the caution.
I couldn't tell if there was contact with the 7. He had lost it way early in the corner. Yeah, it looks like they're... I think a car just broke loose on him here. No, 43 got into it.
43 got up.
Yeah.
43 broke loose and got up just into his left rear quarter panel. Eric and Matt did a good job of avoiding that.
Even though they caused it.
Even though one of them might have caused it. Even though one of them might have caused it. They did a really good job.
And while we're talking about Dave Blaney real quick, his son Ryan doing a great job as a youngster trying to make it up the NASCAR ranks. This weekend, a couple of popular wins. Friday night, Camping World Truck Series, Jeb Burton, son of Ward, got his first career victory. And yesterday, right here at Pocono, in the ARCA race, Chase Elliott, Bill's son, got his first win on a super speedway and ARCA competition. Yeah, it's fun to see.
It's a lot of fun to see because those guys remembered when they were both born. Sounds like a recording artist. Jeb, son of Ward. I love that, man. I love it the way you put that, Adam.
I want some royalties when that deal hits.
Man, that's good.
Jimmy Johnson leading here at Pocono with 22 to go. NASCAR on TNT, live from Pocono Raceway in Long Pond, Pennsylvania. Kyle Petty and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander, getting down to it here. You know, all week long, we followed Denny Hamlin and that 11 team. He was making appearances, the crew doing their pit work. Now we go inside tracks, listening to that last pit stop that was spectacular.
The pace keeps picking up here as we go, so we'll just do it with our air pressure here. 4 tires, full, every drop. 1 outside, 2 outside to the line. Give it back. There. Wow. Nice job.
I knew they wouldn't let you down, bud. Awesome job, boys.
You can pick up 5 spots. Well, most of the drivers just don't want to lose anything when they come to pit lane. But if you can pick up 5 spots in pit lane, that's the time you buy those guys a steak dinner, because that's pretty incredible.
They're running 4th right now, Marty.
Well, in All Access earlier, Adam, and Countdown to Green, we got to watch them practice earlier this week, and Denny wasn't kidding when he said he has the best pit crew on pit road, 11.38. Mike Leck, the pit crew coach, timed that pit stop. That's very impressive. But Denny now saying he feels like his car way too tight to keep up with the guys in front of him. He said, if we got up here, I felt like we could have a shot, but they've just missed it a little bit chassis-wise for the last run here.
So, Marty, what are the chances that Denny Hamlin gets the win today, be his 5th at Poconos? Well, we've got some numbers and data that would suggest there is a 6% chance that Denny goes on to get the checkered flag here this afternoon. Win probability from Bloomberg Sports, Jimmy Johnson, the race leader. And with 20 laps to go at Pocono, 41% of the time, it's the leader that goes on to get the victory. Ryan Newman running 2nd, an 18% chance. Dale Jr. is 3rd, 12%. We told you about Denny Hamlin. The 5th position also goes to victory lane 6% of the time.
That's not very much.
No.
Surprising the drop-off. Yeah. Hey, I'm putting my money on Jimmy Johnson for a few different reasons.
Oh. Well, you're out on a limb on that one.
Hey, Wally picked him pre-race. 19 to go as we get the green flag once again.
That was based on expertise, though.
True, that was. Right? Yeah, because you never saw him on the racetrack. He's just picking up with 10 laps to go.
Yeah, perhaps should have picked Dale Jr. He's going inside of Newman again on the restart. Kyle Busch trying to get involved.
He has quietly had a great race up here. Yeah. Just 3rd, 4th, 5th, right along there. And early in the race, or early in pre-race, I talked about the Fords. Same with Brad. Until that accident right there, he put a Ford, he and Carl Edwards had put a Ford in the top 5 or 6 all day long. But Junior and that team has done a great job keeping up with the racetrack and improving today.
Now, are they on the same tire deal as the 48?
They would have gotten 4 on that cycle when Jimmy Johnson got 2. And the guys downstairs can correct me on that, but I'm pretty positive that that's the breakdown of those 2 on that last stop.
Kyle Busch picking up a spot here. Don't ever count that guy out.
Yeah, guys, just remember the 2 drivers that pitted on that caution that only took 2 tires. It was Jimmy Johnson in the 48 and Greg Biffle in the 16 that's actually running up in the 6th position. Everyone else, including Dale Earnhardt Jr. in the 88, got 4 fresh tires.
Thanks for the confirmation on that, Larry.
You got it. Anytime.
And with Dale Jr. running good here today, that reminds me, we're going to Michigan next week, where last year he went up there in June and laid it on him, snapping that long winless streak.
And one thing about, watching what's going on right now with the 48 cars, never had any pressure all day long.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if Junior or Kyle Busch can get up to him and put some pressure on him. But Kyle all of a sudden has he's running some pretty good laps right now.
And Kyle was one of the few guys yesterday that we saw in practice that was experimenting with shifting, where to shift, where not to shift, whether to save fuel, running lap times. He may have just been here all day long to put themselves in a position to be here at the end to go for it. But there's Denny knocking on his door.
Denny had dropped back to 5th, but he's rallied back up now. Rather, he dropped back to 6th. He's up to 5th and trying to get Kyle Busch. Let's go down to Chris.
Well, like I said before that last caution, the 18, one of the quickest cars on the racetrack, and there was some debate whether they wanted to make an air pressure change because the 18 was a little too tight early in the run, and that's exactly what happened with these last couple restarts. He lost a couple spots. Now he's finally got the temperature he needs in those tires, and the 18 really coming to life as he's picked up 2 spots since we've gone back to green.
And it was such a disappointment for Kyle Busch here a year ago, Chris. Lost an engine in the June race, came back here in August involved in an accident. Recorded a DNF in both of those events, solidly in the top 5 today. Newman is 5th. What's the word from them, Matt?
Adam, 2 cautions ago, Ryan Newman was told he was 4 laps short. Newman told Matt Moreland that he had saved a lot of fuel on that run. Borland reworked the mileage, said, okay, we are a lap and a half short on fuel. Try to conserve as much as you can. We got the last caution. Then Borland told Newman, we are 3/10 of a lap to the good. Those engineers, they even work it right to the 10.
3/10 of a lap, which at Pocono is significant.
Huge.
The one thing we have not discussed, though, Larry, all of this data based on going the scheduled distance 160 laps.
Exactly. As you know, I sit down here and I study trends, I study averages, and if you look at our last 5 June Pocono races, 2 times we had a caution in the final 10 laps, including last year. And yes, oh, by the way, in 2010, green, white, checkered, all the number crunching is based on a 160-lap race right now.
See Ryan Newman trying to come back after Denny Hamlin. Marty pointed it out early. Great day for Denny Hamlin. As Newman drives by him to the inside, that's for 4. You got to be in the top 5 if you're Denny virtually every week between now and the chase. However, for Hamlin, when you're running this good, you really need to take advantage on these days and get victories because, as we pointed out earlier, he needs to.
He's got to win races. If we're talking about the chase, you know, if you're talking about having him, you know, be a top chase. Yeah, you got it. You're right. Take advantage of the places where you've been really good at in the past. Pocono being one of them. You know, I think they're a consistent top 5 car week in and week out. But yes, they've got to get some victories if they're going to make the chase.
Now look at our biggest movers, presented by Walmart. Ryan Newman has worked very hard today inside the top 5. He's the best of the bunch, picking up 19. Jeff Burton, traditionally a good closer here at Pocono. Currently 9th. He's 15 spots better than where he started. Kurt Busch has been impressive in that category as well. He scored in the 7th spot right now. 14 laps remaining.
These guys right here got a pretty good race going on. Biffle's had a pretty good day today. You know, we haven't really talked a ton about him. He's solid there in the 6th spot. Kurt Busch having a good run. He looks really fast in 1. That last lap going through 1, he almost ran Biffle over. And then he got Stewart tucked in right behind Kurt Busch.
The 78 and the 14 continue to take steps in the right direction. Ralph?
Adam, at one point, Kurt Busch was all the way up to 5th and looking like a real contender today as a caution comes out.
5th time today, A.J. Allmendinger, left front tire, it appears.
I don't know. I think it's a suspension.
Not a tire.
It's tough to tell from this angle.
Something. Definitely.
Can you drive it to us, AJ? I'm trying to, man, but I got to go really slow.
Yeah, we got a long way to go.
Talked earlier about A.J. Allmendinger running IndyCar for like a month. That great run at Indianapolis for Roger Penske. Not so good last weekend on the road course at Belle Isle. Back in NASCAR this week driving the 51 for James Finch. And next weekend, he's going to drive the 47 car in place of Bobby Labonte for JTG Doherty. They're just trying to figure out their program. They had 5 unsponsored races, wanted to put AJ in the car, try to help give a gauge on where they need to go.
And I think it's AJ's driven some of these cars, which have been the Hendrick type cars with the Hendrick engines and that type of stuff. So it gives them a good comparison about what their cars and what the 47 cars are. You see AJ come down the front stretch here, crosses the start-finish line, and must feel it going right here because he gets completely out of the way. Great job of getting that far out of the way. Not just one lane. He got way over out of the way. Got it back under control.
Usually you're not that lucky.
No.
Usually it goes down when you're going into turn one.
And that can be catastrophic.
It's kind of like what you said earlier, Wally. 2 laps to go when we were concerned about Ryan Newman and where he was on fuel. He said, I don't want to be near him because I'm afraid I'll run over him. There, AJ doing a great job of getting out of the way.
Same type stuff. We were talking about, you guys talking about Hamlin a minute ago and having to make up points. Hamlin's 26th in points. But the only person that right now, 20, is Newman, who is right there with him. He's in 20th, but he's ahead of Burton, ahead of Montoya, ahead of Ambrose, ahead of Martin, ahead of Mears. He can pick up as much as 8 or 10, 12 points on each one of these guys. Now, he has to do that about 10 races in a row.
A lot.
A lot, you know what I mean? But this goes a long way, and I think that's why he said last week was so catastrophic for us, because that was another race we could have picked up 8 or 10 points on everybody that we were racing with.
And as we see Ryan Newman here, this is really big for him because he just continues to help his fuel mileage situation, and it helps everyone else on track in regard to the possible green-white checker finish that Larry referred to a little bit ago. Which city is the best baseball city in the majors? Watch Ron Darling voice his opinion on Behind the Mic, powered by Ford, on BleacherReport.com/Behind the Mic. And now we go to Marty Snyder, who's got a guest that's got to be a little bit concerned about this caution. He wanted to see it go green, Marty.
I believe he did want to see it go green. Let's ask Chad Knaus how he's doing. Number one, you okay on fuel now? And would you have rather seen it go green there?
Yeah, when you have control of the race, you obviously definitely want it to go green, but feel very confident in the low Chevrolet, or the Cobalt Chevrolet rather, this weekend. Cars running great. Jimmy's done a fantastic job with it all weekend long, and we've had solid pit stops. This is a great racetrack. It's a lot of fun. There's so many elements to it, so we really enjoy coming up here and racing, and just can't say enough about all the hard work everybody's put in Hendrick Motorsports this week in this race car.
He has reported a bit of a vibration. Is that a concern at all?
I don't really know if I know exactly what it is yet. We're going to have to try to break it down a little bit more, but trying to keep those negative thoughts out of his mind right now and just focus on the positive.
And that vibration, Matt, comes at high RPMs for Jimmie Johnson. Open up, hang on to the lead here.
Down on the 88 box with Steve Letarte, their teammate. Now, your teammate, the 48, very impressive at this point of the race. Is there anything left for Junior to try to, because restarts, anything can happen, to try to make a move and possibly pull off a win here?
Well, I think that's our only chance is going to be on a restart the first lap. After you get about a lap out, the 48 is just, I mean, he's been unbelievable for 3 days here, not just today. I'm real proud of the 4888 shop. We brought 2 great race cars. You know, they're built the same, set up real close to the same, and both have really good speed. So you never know. There's still 10 races or 10 laps to go. Anything can happen. You know, there's a lot of space around this place. We'll just see how the restart goes and race it from there.
All right, if he holds on and just finishes in the second position, Chris, will be his third runner-up in 2013.
Yeah, and Dave Rogers has been trying to squeeze more speed out of the 18 all day. Dave, I've been listening to Kyle, and he said at times that car a little too tight, other times really dancing through turn 3. What does he have for these 2 Chevys in front of him?
Well, I think we got the car the best we could. Couple pit stops ago, and it's actually a good long-run car, so we're late in tires, so I think it's pretty decent. But Kyle's done a great job. You know, I just kind of missed the setup on this M&M's Toyota Camry this week. And Kyle's been really good. He's communicating a lot, telling me how to make it the better, and we're making the best of a not so good day. So we'll see. Maybe we got something for him after all.
Yeah, Kyle Busch, very calm on the radio all day. He's got a pair of second places, looking for his first win.
Be 9 laps to go when we get this restart. Could very well be the final restart of the day. And that's where the race was pretty much decided last week at Dover. Juan Pablo Montoya leading. You had Jimmie Johnson running second. Jimmie Johnson was black flagged on that final restart. And now we look at the restart area here at Pocono, from here to here. In that section of the track where you see those 2 red lines, the race leader has control of the field and the race, and he can go when he sees fit. If he doesn't go by that second red line, it's the flagman that restarts this race. Here's both Juan Pablo Montoya and Jimmie Johnson reacting to what went down on that final restart at Dover.
You get a restart between the 2 cones that I did, and you're not supposed to beat the leader to the line. What's so hard about that?
Juan just didn't go. And in my opinion, I think he played it right. I think he was smart and let me get out ahead of him.
He wanted to time it really well where he didn't have to deal with me, but he mistimed it, and that's it, you know, no drama.
Juan found a loophole. He found a loophole in the officiating and worked it to his advantage. So, sure, I'm mad I didn't win the race. I'm not necessarily mad at him.
I'm not sure that's a loophole.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
I love Juan.
Yeah. I mean, well, Juan's right on that one. I
what's he
mean,
gonna
he
say?
didn't do anything wrong there. I'm sure.
Brad Keselowski did make a pit stop. He will restart in the 25th position with the focus in the front. Outside, Jimmie Johnson leader. Inside his teammate Dale Jr. 9 to go at Pocono.
Junior's there.
Jimmy's so good in that outside
Look at the 18,
lane.
though. I'm telling you. I know he had his handful when he was a little bit deeper back in traffic, but he's passed 2 or 3 cars since that last restart.
And this is his time of the race.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to let it all hang out, talking about Kyle Busch.
Don't count that 88 out. I'm telling you, man. He has just been hovering there.
How about this? His crew chief, Steve Letarte, won here in 2007 with Jeff Gordon. In that race, Gordon made the pass for the lead with 9 to go. That's what we're working here. Dale Jr. second to Jimmy Johnson as they drive off turn 3. Noise since the early stages. Back in traffic. Heard from Steve Letarte a little bit ago. We also see Jeff Gordon now running in the 12th position.
And Gordon's pretty much stuck there right around 12th, 16th, 17th all day long. He hasn't really been able to break out of that group.
And you mentioned Carl Edwards. Once he had that trouble earlier, got back there just a little bit. Like we said, he and Newman kind of switched positions. Carl's never been able to make his way back to the front.
Rick Hendrick has more wins here than any other owner, 13. As Dave Blaney goes wide. First and second, and now we get caution, the 7th one of the day.
Yeah, he got in the wall.
Excuse me, 6th caution of the afternoon.
It just looked like he got up there kind of high, just kind of rode it off.
Yeah,
but evidently he slapped into the wall. And you know, I will say this. We talk about, NASCAR has talked about, or we talk about, you know, the carbon fiber hoods, the carbon fiber deck lids, the pieces and the parts on this car that are composite material now. Anytime something like this happens, you need to stop and check the racetrack because they splinter, they come apart. It's not like the old days where it just scrapes a little paint off and puts it on the wall. So this is a good caution.
Free pass goes to David Rudiman. We mentioned Brad Keselowski had made a pit stop under that last caution. He's gone from outside the top 20 to 19th since the restart, and that's big because Brad has now got himself back in the top 10 in the championship chase. Gordon had taken over that 10th position. Been busy here in the last 28 laps, 5 cautions after only having 1 in the first 125 laps. And as we talk about points real quick, just to pay off Casey Kane, who had those drivetrain issues early in the day. He's right now 36th, 19 laps down. He has stayed in the top 10 in the championship, losing 1 position. He's now 8th in points overall. Let's look at the top 10. Jimmy Johnson leading the way, looking for his 3rd win at Pocono. 122 laps led today of the 154. Dale Earnhardt Jr., who has gained 2 spots in the championship to 4th today, is 2nd on track. Kyle Busch is 3rd. The top Toyota in the top 4, Greg Biffle, who won here in August of 2010. 5th and 6th, Ryan Newman and Tony Stewart. A great day for Stewart-Haas Racing as we check the championship standings. With 6 laps remaining, Johnson picking up 21 points on 2nd place Edwards. Boyer still in 3rd, and we told you about the jump for Dale Jr. back inside the top 5.
Kyle Busch will make it 3 wide on this one, on the outside. I mean, you know,
and he can make it work, though.
Yeah, I know.
How many times
he's thinking about it.
Yeah, how many times have we seen him late in a race go where no man has gone?
Yeah.
He's like the Star Trek driver. You know what I mean?
It's your only shot. If you fall in the 3rd spot after you get out of turn 1, if you fall in behind Jimmy and Dale, that's pretty much where you're going to finish.
And that's the way it's been the last 2 or 3 restarts. And you know, nothing's really changed on these things. But you got to get all you can get. And when we've said it all day long, that's been the theme of the day. Get all you can get on the restarts, because even though we've had a lot of cautions in these last 15, 20, 30 laps, we went the first 120 some odd laps before we ever had a caution. And when you look at it, those guys, there wasn't a lot of passing going on the racetrack. It was just guys maintaining their positions.
Aero coverage provided by Goodyear, proudly supporting our military for 100 years. Show your support for our troops at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. The 1-to-go signal has been given. Next time around, we'll get the green flag. And the green will go in the air with 4 laps remaining. Dale Jr. running 2nd today and trying to steal one from teammate Jimmy Johnson. Next week, he goes to Michigan, trying to get his second in a row in June. Presented by Kelly Blue Book, noon Eastern time.
Easy for you to say.
Yes.
Actually, so Kyle's starting in third, so really he's in a better spot. Instead of going on the outside, turn one. Yeah, Kyle. He's going to dive down on the inside.
Lights are out on the pace car. Jimmy Johnson has absolutely dominated this race, without question. The strongest car. Chad Knaus has not liked these recent restarts because of the caution. He had the car to beat last week as well. Didn't go his way at Dover either. We'll see if he can close the deal here at Poconos. 4 laps to go. When we go green, fans are on their feet. The pace car is off. Time to settle it in round 14 in 2013 for the Sprint Cup Series.
Look, Biffle's right there.
Yeah, Junior got a good start right there, too. Wow.
That's like 7 wide.
And they're 43 wide going into turn 1.
Great restart for Johnson.
I mean, Biffle's sitting in 6th or 7th about 5 or 10 laps ago. We were talking about having a solid day. He just put himself in 2nd spot.
Down around Dale Earnhardt Jr.
That's a great move.
Tony Stewart starting to make up some ground as well. What's up with Biffle, Chris?
Well, the Biff was talking big on the radio right before he went back to green. He was very excited that the caution came out, and he started telling his crew, hey, guys, watch this restart. I'm going to go big here, and I'm going to try and track down Johnson. And, boy, he went from 4th to 2nd like that.
And how about this? The top 2 on track, the guys that took 2 tires on that last pit stop. 3 to go for Jimmy Johnson.
Pretty good. I'll give it what I got here.
That's a Biff. I think he gives it what it's got every lap. He and Kyle Busch probably drive more sideways and looser than anybody out there.
Only 4 driver inside the top 10 is Greg Biffle. They showed some signs in practice yesterday.
Okay. His car looks like it's a little tight, though.
Yes, right now it does.
Greg Biffle's car does.
How about the guys running 2nd and 3rd, Greg Biffle and Dale Earnhardt Jr.? We talked about Junior at Michigan. Biffle, if he can finish this off today, going to go to a track next week where he has had so much success. That would be some nice momentum going to the Irish Hills for Greg Biffle.
Junior got a really strong run up off 1 that time, but couldn't do anything when he got to the tunnel and had to feather out of it a little bit. And you see he's fallen back really into the clutches a little bit of the 14 car of Tony Stewart.
2 laps to go. Jimmy Johnson pulling away. His advantage more than a 2nd over Greg Biffle. Tony Stewart in the 4th position, trying for his 3rd consecutive top 10 finish.
See, Junior drives right back up to his bumper almost.
And Biffle's using every inch of the racetrack right now.
And see, Junior kind of pulls out like he wants to do something, but there's just not enough room. He gets a bad angle getting in 3 or across the tunnel turn. Biff hangs it out, swings it across there, and gains about a car length or so.
Now Stewart making a run in on Dale Jr. for 3rd. How about Kevin Harvick in the top 10? He had that pit road speeding penalty. He has battled back as we see the white flag. Less than a lap remaining for Jimmy Johnson into turn 1. Ryan Newman underneath Kyle Busch as they come off of turn 1 and head down the long pond straightaway. It's a nice battle for the final position inside the top 5.
Wow.
Kurt's trying to make it 3 wide at the tunnel turn.
He thought about it.
Newman completes the pass. Jimmy Johnson opened the season with a win in the Daytona 500. He's been consistent all year long. Got a victory at Martinsville. in late March. His third checkered flag of the year coming at Pocono. Jimmy Johnson does it today.
Well done, my man. Well done. Coming outside here, watching 16. Well done, Jimmy. You are, man, you're on it today. Damn. Thank you, sir. Great, great piece of car here.
That takes a little bit of the sting off from last week.
Just a little bit. Get those bonus points for leading the most laps. Get those bonus points for winning the races. And you get those bonus points when you get to the chase. And I think that's what Jimmy was as much concerned about last week, was having that bonus points, those bonus points going into the race.
And he's now tied with Matt Kenseth. 3 wins apiece, most this year. Paul Menard, who started in the top 10.
Yeah, not sure what happened there.
Couldn't stay there.
He's obviously gone down to the end of pit road and then come back up pit road the wrong way. Oh,
he
tire
lost
comes
it right front or
yeah,
something
right there,
happened.
over the tunnel.
Oh,
wow. We talked about the 51 car losing a tire going in turn 1. That's about the second worst place that you can lose one.
That's
going
usually
the tunnel.
where it happens.
Yeah,
and that's big in regard to the championship because Menard was in the top 10.
yes.
And the updated standings have him 12th, 10 points behind the 10th position. And Greg Biffle, with his runner-up finish today, jumps into the top 10 in the standings. Let's hear from Chad Knaus, the winning crew chief.
We can see Jimmy Johnson doing a big burnout there in the background. This team getting their 3rd win of the year, 3rd win at Pocono. And Chad, I think he's going to blow that thing up out there. You guys have had so much speed. You guys have had so much speed. It's like, what have you really found with this car?
Well, it's been a long process. You know, I think that we've worked really hard, everybody back at Hendrick Motorsports, to try to get these cars running a little bit better. Just getting accustomed to the Gen 6 car has been a bit of a challenge, I think, for everybody. But track position is so important. But we had a really fast Cobalt Chevrolet today, and I just got to say thanks to everybody at Hendrick Motorsports, the chassis shop, the engine shop, gear and trans. This track is awesome. It puts all the elements of racing together, and you really have to be spot on here. And the guys did a great job. I'd like to say hi to Mr. H. He's not here with us this weekend. We wish he was here.
Track position, they had it all day.
When your car's that good, track position kind of becomes a moot point, doesn't it?
You make your own track position, and that's basically what Jimmy and those guys did. You know, from the time they dropped the green flag, they made their own track position. They were flawless all day long, and there were some great runs. Dale Jr. had a great run today. I think those guys were pretty flawless all day long. Tony Stewart, obviously, I said before, he wasn't back, obviously, 3 races in a row. That team's come back and put Ryan Newman in the top 5 with him. So, you know, you make your own luck sometimes, and these guys do it every week, it seems like, this 48 team.
Jimmy Johnson with his 63rd career win. His 3rd at Pocono, the first since 2004. Celebrate good times in the 48 camp. Little doubt who had the best car this weekend. Jimmy Johnson, great in both practice sessions. Started on the pole and absolutely dominated. Welcome into our NASCAR on TNT post-race coverage from Long Pond, Pennsylvania. It is Jimmy Johnson who has collected his 3rd win of the year after leading 128 of 160 laps. Nice start to the second half of the regular season for the 5-time champion. He's made his way to victory lane. Let's join the celebration with Marty Snyder.
Any word for that other than dominant? I don't think so. Jimmy Johnson with an impressive performance here at Pocono. Collects career win number 3 here at the Tricky Triangle in dominant fashion. Talks to his guys, a little celebratory liquid flying down. And that's the best car you've had all year long, Jimmy?
That's the best car I've had in a long time. What a race car. Not only a great race car, but an engine. Had fuel mileage and plenty of power. I mean, it was awesome on the straightaways today to be able to do what I wanted around other cars, so hats off to Chassis, Aero, and the engine shop for this awesome race car. I'm very happy for Lowe's, Cobalt Tools to get this car in victory lane. It's been a long time since I've won here, and very excited to do it.
I know it's been a frustrating 7 days for you since Dover. Does this maybe make up for last week, having the dominant car there and not winning?
No, but it's okay. You'll move on.
I like honesty.
Yeah, that's true. It doesn't make up for much, but we know we're a great race team. Things won't keep us down, and we had a great race car today, and just had a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun out there.
I got to ask you about two things that may have worried you. Number one, all those restarts you had to go through, and the number two, the vibration. It kept coming back throughout the day. How much of a concern was that?
Yeah, it was a concern, and I think we were spinning the left rear tire on the wheel itself, and it would start vibrating. And I thought it might have been a loose wheel the way it shook in the corners and not on the straights, but it never got any worse, and they were able to diagnose what that problem was. And then those restarts, man, there's only so many tricks you have, if you play by the rules. And they were figuring out everything I could do in that zone, and fortunately I was able to get the lead and have clean out there again at the end.
That topic certainly cropped up again. By the way, Chad gave you a 10 on the burnout. What did you grade that as?
Burnouts are good. The gearing's a little difficult to get a good smoke show going, so I had to resort back to donuts at the end and was very happy with that.
All right, but happy to do the burnouts nonetheless. Jimmy Johnson, career win number 64. Chris.
Yeah, and Greg Biffle comes up second today, and prior to that last green flag, he told his crew on the radio, hey guys, I'm going to go big. I'm going for the lead here. And wow, 4th to 2nd there in turn 1. Did you have anything for Johnson?
I really didn't have anything for Jimmy, but I just wanted to get to his bumper and rough him up just a little bit. I just wanted to. I saw the replay about 9 times Joey Logano get into the back of the 55 car. And, Jimmy was in a league of his own. I was going to have to get up beside him, take the air off him, something to try and get an advantage. But I gave him such a good push on the restart, I couldn't catch back up with him. I thought he might, when we got single filed out, it's the first time I've been up front, thought my 3M Ford Fusion would be good enough maybe to try and catch him, but couldn't get him.
You and Jack Roush have a lot of good history at Michigan next week. Does this pump you guys up?
It really does. I'll tell you what, we were looking forward to this race and Michigan next week, definitely to get back on track. Second place here, I'm really excited about next week. We still have a little bit of work to do on our cars. These guys are still just a little bit faster than we are. We just really, really drove hard today and got good pit stops and worked our way up there. But looking forward to next week.
Well, the Fords are turning a quarter, Matt.
Impressive day for Dale Earnhardt Jr. and the entire 88 team. Top 5 much of the day. You finished 3rd. What do you take away from a day like this, Junior, considering the past few weeks?
We've been running good all year. Just haven't had some troubles, and it's good to be able to run good again. All the guys, all the fans listening to Dirty Mo Radio tomorrow will be excited and be able to talk about something positive. But it's been a good weekend. Chase Elliott won yesterday. He's got a bright future, and excited about that. Just excited to be able to run well. We had a good car all weekend, and glad we could get a good finish. Jimmy was much faster in turn 3, much faster. That's where you got to be good, and it's where he was good. So we got to gain a little bit there. We know some things we can try to get better before we come back. We'll be back here, seems like in a month. But good racetrack, good day for the National Guard Down Mountain Dew Chevrolet team. Did a good job.
Carrying a lot of momentum into the track where you last won, Michigan.
Yeah, we've been carrying momentum for a good solid year now, and we've had better finishes last year. We started this year off really, really good. We just had a lot of problems since then and just struggled to get good finishes, but we're all right. We know what we need to do. Confidence is there. All the fans can rest assured we feel like we're on the right track, and we want to get a win, man. I could see it right there in front of me today. I mean, Jimmy has been so fast all weekend, but really thought we got close, and if we can keep getting close, we're going to get one.
Thanks, Junior.
If you're going to win races, you got to spend a consistent amount of time at the front. Dale Earnhardt Jr. was up there quite a bit today, ends up 3rd behind Johnson and Biffle. How about Tony Stewart, Ryan Newman? Both cars in the top 5 today.
Good day for Stewart Haas Racing. A good run for Kurt Busch. We must have watched Kurt and Kyle run nose to tail the whole first part of the race, and here they end nose to tail.
Kurt Busch, Kevin Harvick, both battling back from problems to finish inside the top 10. And 2 drivers that really have come on strong in 2013 based on their numbers a year ago, McMurray and Montoya.
Yeah, those guys starting to show a little bit of speed. They're putting some runs together. Mark Martin, really surprised. We never even really saw Mark today. So good at this place, but they just were not a factor.
And we saw Brad on that second page. Brad never really recovered from that spin with the 14 car of Tony Stewart.
And Matt Kenseth had a spin as well. He ends up outside the top 25. You see the rest of the field here, and now we hear from the Rocket Man, Ryan Newman, who got a top 5 today, Chris.
Yeah, it was Tony Stewart who got the win last week. Ryan Newman gets the top 5 today. Really the only driver that was able to keep up with Jimmy Johnson most of the day. Have you guys finally got some speed in the Stewart Haas cars?
Well, we did today. There's no doubt about that. We, Tony won last weekend. For him to finish fourth is not so big a deal. But for us to come off of a DNF and finish fifth, proud of the guys. Strategy worked out to our benefit with the yellows there at the end. But it's a great day for Haas Automation, obviously, for being in the top 5. But for Quicken Loans, and they're bringing home sweepstakes. Go to QLRacing.com to find out more about that. You can get your mortgage paid for a month for free, which is paid for a month. But good day for Outback as well too. So go to Outback tomorrow. Get your Bloomin' Monday. Blue and onion, and just a good rebound day for us. That's something we definitely needed as a team. Matt and the guys did a great job on a strategy.
Nice job.
A win a week ago at Dover. Tony Stewart backs it up with another strong top 5 finish. Impressive day, and you just about saw everything. In fact, you even have a remnants on your left rear quarter panel.
Yeah, I mean, it's part of racing here at Pocono, and the restarts get tight in spots, so fell back to 12th there and then battled back to 4th, so I'm pretty proud of that, and proud that our group had a good run. I mean, 4th and 5th today is something for our whole organization to be proud of.
When you look on the program itself and going on to Michigan, another intermediate racetrack, 2 mile, what do you take away from what you've seen trend-wise starting back to Charlotte?
Well, I think that's more a question for Steve Addington and the engineers, but the good thing is we got confidence of the last 3 weeks in a row, and today Hendrick horsepower was huge, obviously having 4 of the top 5 cars, so proves that the Hendrick engine department really was a factor today for us. But for Ryan and I to finish in the top 5, that's great for SHR. Danica
23rd, I believe,
got going better too, so it's improvement all the way through. I mean, for her first time here at Pocono, I thought she did pretty well, so we're just gaining on it, and the good thing is all 3 of us are getting better at the same time, so really shows the work that SHR is doing.
Strong display of horsepower too. 4 out of the top 5 Hendrick engines here at Pocono.
So the second half of NASCAR's regular season gets underway today. We take a look at the standings. Big day for Jimmy Johnson, who now has a 77. He's got a big lead over Carl Edwards, not 77 points. This is number of points in front of 11. Clint Boyer still 3rd. Dale Jr. now up to 4th. Matt Kenseth falling a couple of positions.
Matt Kenseth had pretty much a up and down day today, but hanging in there. Here's where it gets interesting, though. You got Jeff Gordon, Paul Menard, obviously slipping. He didn't need that late race problem. Eric Almirola in 14th.
But the wild card positions stayed the same. Tony Stewart with that one victory, and Jeff Gordon 11th in the points would be 1-2 in the wild card standings.
And Hamlin, I don't believe, Kyle and I were talking during the break, I don't think he made much ground up on those guys today as far as the top 20.
Yeah, towards the top 20. I don't think he may have made up a few points, but not a lot. I see Newman moved into 18th. He stayed. Newman finished in front of Denny, and you look at it, he basically lost ground today on that 20th place guy. He was like 74, I think, coming in. That shows how hard it is to make up points once you get that far behind. And I mean, it's going to be really, really hard with 13 races left.
Let's hear from Denny Hamlin on today's race. He's with Ralph.
Denny Hamlin fought the handling on his race car all day today. Denny, this is a track I know you were looking forward to coming here, thinking it could be a big points day for you. Why the frustration with the handling? What happened?
Just we weren't competitive. Really, we were a little bit off all weekend, and really 8th is about where I thought we were going to end up. So, I mean, I'm proud of the whole FedEx Ground team. My pit crew gave me a chance to at least battle with those guys for a few laps by picking me up like 4 or 5 spots on the last stop. So we're fighting it. We're just trying to do everything we can and grind and finish good when we don't have a winning car, and by no means do we have a winning car this weekend.
Well, now I got to ask you, I know there's frustration with the race car, but we did have the inside opportunity to hang with your guys all week. How'd you like having our TNT cameras with you all week?
It's good. I love it when TNT's on air. That's when I win the most races. So excited to have them, come on board, go to a FedEx hub in Memphis and see what it's all about, shipping over 1 million packages every night. And it was cool to have them along. They got to see what the team chemistry's like, and so welcome back anytime.
Well, if you like having us around, good news is we're here for 5 more weeks.
So Denny Hamlin going to Michigan next week, where he also has had success, much like he has here at Pocono. We talked about Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Greg Biffle going there. Top 5s today. Each of them have wins at Michigan. And you look ahead to the next 5 weeks. different racetracks each weekend. We're going road course racing in 2 weeks' time at Sonoma, so a lot of ground can exchange hands when you look at the 5 weeks that we have remaining on our schedule.
Yeah, I think I think the day showed you can lose a lot of ground. It's really tough to make up ground. As we talk about Denny Hamlin having to win races, we talk about these guys trying to make up 15, 20 points a race. That's not going to happen. You're lucky to make up 5 or 10 points a race.
We're going to, I think, one of the biggest favorite racetracks for race car drivers next week at Michigan. The place is wide. There's plenty of race. We're always talking about cars looking for that clean air. Where at Michigan, there's plenty of clean air because the track is so wide. You'll see 3 wide running all the time. That's really it was always one of my favorites.
And as we start making a statement and moving toward the chase, certainly Jimmie Johnson did a lot to help himself today, Larry. They were outstanding all afternoon long.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much everybody else was racing for second, but I find it interesting that we had 31 drivers finish on the lead lap, and the top 2, they basically took 2 tires the last trip to pit road. We've been talking about Stewart-Haas Racing. The last time they had 2 drivers finish in the top 5, almost 11 months ago, Daytona in July. Toyota, 2 drivers in the top 10, but no engine failures today.
I'd like to know one thing. When did Larry leave the racetrack to go back to the hotel?
Yes. What a nice place you have.
You like this, huh?
And you're clean and organized as well. Hey, Larry, great job. We'll see you next week in the Irish Hills of Michigan.
Looking forward to it.
So Jimmie Johnson in the top 5 today with Greg Biffle, Dale Earnhardt Jr. We talked about the guys from Stewart-Haas. They tested here. Not a huge shock that they were able to have success. We'll see if they can keep it up next weekend in Michigan. So much fun today. And next Sunday, NASCAR on TNT heading to Michigan. Coverage begins noon Eastern time with Countdown to Green, followed by the Quicken Loans 400. Coming up next, Handout Justice with The Rock. See him in Walking Tall. But first, the wait is almost over. See a sneak peek of Falling Skies. And don't miss the 2-hour season premiere tonight at 9 right here on TNT. Special thanks to all of our crew. Our producer, Jeff Randolph. Our director, Mike Wells. With Larry McReynolds, Kyle Petty, and Wally Dallenbach, I'm Adam Alexander. Congratulations to Jimmie Johnson. He's a winner today at Pocono.
I love it when TNT comes on air because that's when we hit our stride.